What is it you like to talk about?
My patient. Hi. I know you're nervous. I just want to have a chat.
I'm seeing something no one else can see except for me. It's smiling at me. Oh my God!
Yesterday, a patient in your care died brutally in front of you.
I need to find an explanation for what happened.
It's smiling at me. It's smiling at me.
You're going to die! You're going to die! You're going to die! You're going to die!
I found 20 cases involving 19 victims with a direct line linking them all together.
You said only 19. Why is it that everybody else who's seen it is dead and you're alive? I've seen it too.
You?
How long between each victim's death?
None of them survived longer than a week.
Today's my 4th day. I am not gonna keep running. I have to face it.
How does it make you feel?
I'm just really scared that something bad is going to happen. Rose.
Hi, everyone.
I feel like we should start off with a really creepy smile on all our faces.
Yeah, see if I can do that. This is our last episode for December, and for 2023, of course. Today we're going to be chatting about the film Smile, which came out in 2022. This is the feature-length debut from Parker Finn, and it's an adaptation, sort of sequel of his film from 2020, which was Laura Hasn't Slept. So, and this was actually quite a hit, surprisingly. Like not many people were expecting it to be, myself included. So I when I first came across, well, I'm just saying I really didn't know what to expect. And
of course.
It was around a time when we were getting quite a lot of horror movies out that weren't that great.
We were spoiled. You could say it. We were spoiled for choice.
And with this film, of course, one of the things that I remembered clearly about it was that the actress who plays Laura is Caitlin Stacey, who is an Australian actress that we all know from Neighbours, which is a sitcom that everyone watches over here. Yeah. So she's like, that was one of the main things. And she's really big into talking about positivity and women and sexuality and all sorts of stuff. So she went a little viral for a while I think on Twitter over in America. But yeah, she's super cool. And so I thought, I didn't know where this film was coming from. I didn't know it was American. I didn't know the director.
Mm-hmm.
All I knew was that's an Aussie chick. I assumed it was an Australian film. So I didn't have really high expectations, I'll be honest. Because I was like,
Renee, don't say that about your fellow Australian.
Yeah, we love Australians.
Oh, okay.
I love Australians, but back in, we do have some bad films, let's be honest.
I mean, hey, America is not exempt from that bad film rule either. So
true.
We got plenty.
And then I guess the second thing that drew me to this movie was being that I work a lot in social media and advertising, was the viral marketing that happened 1 to 2 months before this film actually went into cinemas, which was incredible. I've never seen a viral marketing campaign as brilliant as this one. And I guess for those who don't remember or don't know,
I'm oblivious, so please fill me in.
so what happened was about 1 to 2 months prior to the film landing in cinemas in every country, they hired actors to put into based in the crowds in places, so in ball games, football games, all sorts of big public events, and they would just be sitting in the crowd in silence doing the giant horrible creepy smile, and they would appear everywhere. And so they'd get up on the big screens at the games and all that, and they were on the news everywhere. I mean, we even had the American marketing on our news, because people were getting freaked out because they didn't know what this was. Why are all these creepers hanging out everywhere?
I knew what it was, but also I saw it, and I had friends that were hired to do it. And I remember because the thing is, there's a certain way you have to do it, though. You can't just do the American smile. We call it stripper dead-eye smile. So it's basically, and I know this because I was a go-go dancer. So go-go dancers, strippers, and I'm talking about people that are not necessarily sex workers, but people that are performing something. And cam girls don't do it, but I mean, Jenna, you could probably let us know if you know people that do this too, where it's just sort of you're astral projecting out of a situation, but you still have to smile for the male customers because they want that smile. They don't want to feel guilty for throwing ones at you. So it's a dead eye smile. I don't even know how to describe it, but it's a large smile and your eyes are wide, but your eyes have to look like you're dead inside for it to be.
I don't think I'm good at this.
I mean, there's an actual.
Here's the thing: when it went
I
viral,
tried it when we started the show, I just made my eyes all crazy.
Me too. And so it's I do it in family pictures, so I look even creepier. But the thing is I now do it. So when when guys used to say, "You would look so pretty if you smile more,"
Oh my God,
weird thing? But no, now I do it. But I do this smile. I do the horror film smile. So now instead of thanks, I do the. I do the. I don't get it right. Like that. I got caught in the headlights, deer thing. So you don't move. You don't have any facial expression. It's like Botox smile where there's no movement and you just smile. But also you stare at them a little longer. Than what's comfortable. And then that'll freak them out because then the dudes will be like, "Oh, maybe don't."
It's like a deadpan smile. And yeah, of course. So that was just everywhere, and I was like, I love creepy stuff, and I was just like, this is such a good way to grab people and make people want to figure out what this is. And they had nothing to go with it, so there was no posters, there was no names of what the movie was. It was just weird smiling people constantly being.
But in LA, that's also weird. In LA, it's I don't know. I don't know how it worked in other cities, but in LA, and I think Jenna, I mean, I'm volunteering you for backing me up on this. There's a certain level of we call it surge addiction, where there's a lot of women who get so much plastic surgery or maybe too much Botox. There's not enough Botox vacations in between where everything's frozen and there's no micro expressions. So it's it's weird. I don't know. And I'm not trying to shame because I'm not shaming for Botox or filler or any of that. It's just in LA, there's a certain smile that happens with some women where there's just no micro expression. It's just either you have resting bitch face. I like to call it resting witch face that I have, or you have this weird fake LA. It's a red carpet smile, I guess you would call it, where you have normal facial expressions, but the minute you hit the red carpet, it's like this weird. There you go. Tilted.
Well, this is dialed up to 1,000.
There you go. Jenna does it really well, but Jenna makes it look pretty.
Yeah, you're professional.
I have too much emotion, and I've never gotten plastic surgery yet. So
you're also you're good at making it look beautiful, where the rest of us are trained from JCPenney, Sears family photos. We don't know how to smile without looking creepy.
Super creepy. So yeah, I mean that's my introduction to this film. So
I wasn't aware.
Yeah, so I was like, this is creepy, this is cool. I love the marketing, I love the psychology behind.
I just want those gigs. I need to get into the acting. I don't want to be an actor. I just want to be hired to do creepy stuff like that.
yeah, to just go sit and creep.
Because that's what they did with It. Remember they did that with It, where they had people dressed as clowns just showing up,
going around. Yeah.
And it was like, what the? And it turned into this whole creepypasta thing where everyone's like, is this with the movie or is this just actual people that are creepy dressing like clowns trying to scare us? Like, what is that?
Yeah, it was creepy and weird. But yeah, so this creepy and weird. Yeah, so this was kind of like, at first I thought that Laura, which is Caitlin Stacey, was going to be the lead character. So I had no clue going into this. I didn't watch I watched a really, really short trailer. I didn't see the one we just watched. I watched the tiniest bit.
Oh, the teaser.
Because I was like, looking into it because I'd seen these, creepers everywhere and they were showing up on TV. So I wanted to know what it was. Was it a game? Was it like like what are those games where you go and actually do it? Like
the VR. Oh no, the escape room.
Escape room. So I thought it was
I love those so much.
Yeah.
By the way.
Jenna, if you ever want to do one, I have access to all of them because I write for them. Because that's what Hunt a Killer is.
Oh my God, let's do them. I've only done one once when I was in Australia and I was dating this Australian
There's
guy.
like a bazillion.
He had like a coupon for a free one and we went and I had the best time, but I stressed him out so much because I was so intense about it. I was like, you're being too slow. Like, we got to do this. Because I love games and I loved it. I had so much fun.
There's
but,
one
like, I'm a very intense player. And I was like, we have to get out of here. We're on a timer. Like, we have to do this. Like, come on, let's go. And he was just like, this is supposed to be fun. And I'm like, it is fun. Like,
here's the thing. I am going to do some advice. I'm going to do some advice for those who are watching because my family fell for this trap. I am in a family of alphas where everyone is either super hyper, super military, or super smart and super competitive across the board. And one Christmas in Colorado, we were in the Fort Collins, Windsor area. My stepmom was like, oh, let's do an escape room. It'll be fun. And I'm like, oh no. And I was already writing for Hunt a Killer. So Hunt a Killer games, that's what I do. I write these things. But then I was like, no, because my stepsisters are so competitive. And my dad is an introvert, but he's very smart, but he doesn't want to be in part of the, but it's a bunch of ADHDers and crazy people in a small room. Rooms are not small. You're going from room to room to room. Yeah. They're not big to begin with. You get locked in. You have to find a key. You have to find a key and you don't know if it's hidden in a plant under a book. And
I love it so much. I love it
too. But man, if you have a competitive family,
I've never been to one. So Jenna, you have to, when you come over, we're going to an escape room.
Okay.
And then you come here and we'll do one.
You can boss me around. I don't even care. I'll just stand back and go, I reckon.
I think they're fun. They're fun. Especially if they're themed. Like the last one I did was a 1930s mafia one. And I'm like, yes. And then I love anything that's like thematic because then you could dress the part and it's really fun.
Most of them over here, are horror related or over here in Australia, at least the ones that I've seen. So yeah, that's what I kind of thought this was. I had no idea. I thought, whatever. But obviously
there's Renee keeping us back on track. She's like, you guys
sorry.
Let's get back to the show.
I mean, anyway.
We just went off on a tangent.
I'm saying,
sorry.
But yeah, this and I'm sure like Jenna's probably got a lot to say as well in terms of all the psychology stuff as well. And that was something that I didn't really know a lot about. And then when I started watching, I was like, this is so good, and like just getting into it. But I think one of the things I really love about horror is the way that it can and does like take on psychological like horrors and really kind of takes these traumas and things like that and is a way to explore them where, maybe they wouldn't otherwise be explored. And I kind of love that meshing of like weird, supernatural, evil and psychology together. Yep. I love it. So yeah, when it sort of started, it was great. And then I think if you haven't seen the film, obviously, you know us, we're going to spoil it for you.
Spoil it.
But like,
I like the range. I like the range of our expertise because I just started therapy this year, and so my
congratulations, that's so wonderful.
Thank you. Well, you have to in order to get Adderall. They just don't give it to you. You have to go through this whole obstacle course that is therapy from healthcare, Kaiser Permanente. So. But I have a regular therapist, but then I have a psychiatrist for the pills.
Right.
But here's the thing. I was so afraid because I come from a family that doesn't believe in therapy. They think it's for rich people. So like I come from a working class military family where God is your therapist. Good luck. So it's not, you don't get therapy. So I just got therapy. And a lot of this movie resonated for me as a person having weird fears about how my psychiatrist is going to treat me. So when there is that scene of our protagonist who is no longer working as a psychiatrist, but now she has her own psychiatrist visit her at home, and that it's almost like a gaslighting moment. That's a real fear I had, because I was afraid of, what if they think I'm super crazy? You know what I mean? Like, you think, when you've never been through therapy before, my mom's bipolar and she did not have great, she was in and out of situations that weren't great, but also she would stop her meds when she thought she was cured, and you can't really do it that way. So my view of therapy was not great. And also I was seeing it not work for my bipolar mom, who's not getting better, she's getting worse. So this moment in this movie where the therapist is no longer your ally, but your therapist is now smiling, right? Your therapist is not the therapist. The person in your across from you on the couch in the living room is there to kill you. It's not like, or to drive you crazy or whatever. So for me, I was always afraid of going to therapy because I was like, what if they put me away?
Even before that scene where her therapist shows up at her house, even before that, when she goes to see the therapist, in a while, like there's already like the kind of elements of she's not getting the therapist to like see her point of view, and she's like, oh, wait a minute, like, and it's different. And I actually wrote down, I did my notes on my phone this time.
Of course you did.
but like there's like, it's very interesting because at the beginning of the movie, she's the therapist, she's the one that's like in control, and the one that is like mentally stable and working with these people who are struggling with their mental issues. And then you see her decompensate throughout the film, and then all of a sudden she's on the other side. And it's just interesting, like, to have those roles flipped and to see like how she must have felt like being on the other side, and then to have that perspective of like, wow, do my clients feel this way sometimes? Are they like actually, like, is there some truth to the delusions that they're saying too? That was, I think, one of my biggest takeaways from here. And I wrote something down. Hold on, let me find it because it's good. I have so many notes, you guys.
I knew this was going to be the perfect movie for you, because when we're going through our list of stuff, and I'm like, please do smile so we can have Jenna talk about psychology, because again, I'm new to therapy, so this is very insightful for me.
Well, I loved it. Of course I loved it. And, but like, well, my biggest thing I think was like, and I'm going to go right to the end right away here with the biggest thing, like one of my biggest takeaways, which was, what if like this movie, like, kind of puts that train of thought into like, well, what if people who are mentally ill and who see things and hallucinate aren't really actually mentally ill? What if they are just seeing something that the rest of us can't perceive? And it's just an interesting, as someone who works in mental health, like, it's just an interesting thing to think that, like, like, what is crazy, really?
Well, also, that's something that
and
shows
what
up
is mentally ill? What is,
and that shows up, that trope. It's almost a trope that shows up in some urban fantasy. So stuff by Neil Gaiman, stuff by Mike Mignola. So like, Hellboy, the night market is, you have to talk to a homeless woman who sees the key to the night market. But if you're just a regular person walking by, you think it's a houseless person that has mental problems. You don't think, oh no, she's seeing stuff that actually exists, but it's in another dimension. And also Neil Gaiman does that a lot with Sandman characters.
I love Sandman.
Yeah, and
I love that show.
I love it.
I know we're going to sidetrack real quick. When is the next Sandman season coming?
It's in production.
And I also love I love that actor who's playing him in this.
I know, so good.
Oh,
so good. I know it's in production. As soon as the writer and actor strike, well, I think that, I don't know if the actor strike, I don't know if they signed on the dotted line this week or not, because there's that AI thing. But I do know that Sandman's in production right now, because Neil Gaiman and the Sandman crew did an Instagram yesterday about it. Oh, cool. But also, this movie's getting a sequel in October. So we're getting a sequel too.
I'm interested to see how they but we can talk about that one.
But I do want to ask Jenna something too, and please, Renee, chime in as well. The movie was hard for me. It triggered me a lot. So the first time I watched it, I'm like, I should not be watching this, because I wasn't in therapy yet. And then when I got into therapy, I was like, I'm going to do a rewatch and see if I have a different perspective now, because a big part of this main character's issues is that her mom had very severe mental illness problems, and my mom did. So I was like, oh crap. I mean, not to the point where my mom was trying to kill me or anything, but just, my mom was very bipolar, and it was not just manic depression. It was like the huge mood swings. You never knew what mom you were going to get. It was just really hard growing up in that atmosphere, especially when you had the rest of the family not really believing in mental illness and my mom clearly mentally ill. So like watching this was very triggering. But then now that I'm in therapy and I'm really kind of getting it, like I'm like you guys, I like once I know I'm diagnosed with something or I have something like the ADHD thing, I'm reading every single book, every single Reddit, you know what I mean? Like I'm trying to educate myself to be a better human, and therapy is something new to me. So I'm trying to figure out, how is this helping me? And this movie was so interesting to me because I'm coming into it as a newbie. I'm not coming into it in an academic level like Jenna, who is, going to be a great psychiatrist.
Psychologist. I don't do the meds. I don't want to do the meds.
But still very important.
Psychologist.
It's very important because I don't talk to my
first just a licensed therapist, then I'll go and get the
doctor. But here's the thing, Jenna. I talk to my therapist every Wednesday. The psychiatrist is just there to prescribe. I don't talk to the psychiatrist. So my therapist
Which is why I don't want to be a psychiatrist.
Yeah, my therapist is my lifeline. So my therapist is helping because I don't remember my childhood. I'm trying not to overshare here, but there's a lot of things I don't remember.
Well, your therapist is helping you process and helping you uncover and get to the root of all of it. Whereas the psychiatrist is giving you a medication to help kind of ease the processing.
Correct. It's supposed to help my symptoms because a lot of
ADHD balance you out. Yeah.
Yeah, because a big thing with ADHD that I'm discovering is rejection sensitivity. So like I think when someone criticizes me, I just always think my default is everyone hates me all the time and I have to like win them over. When that's not the truth, but that's my life. So this movie, yes, it was triggering. Yes, I mean obviously it's to the extreme. It's not like I have a giant mom. It's not the movie, which was horrifying. But the whole kind of thing where she starts off in control and then she gets this almost like in the movie, like It Follows. It's like a virus or something. Like now she has it. Now the smile thing is tagged onto her, whether it's like the Drag Me to Hell or the It Follows motif. But then the fact that no one's believing her. And now she's on the other side where she has to like talk to. And how do you explain this? This isn't like a typical thing. This is a weird horror film where I've never watched a horror film where it was like, this is the symptom. How would you describe that? Oh, someone's going to kill me because they're smiling at me weird.
I just love it's just so creepy though. Like, and I just think it's such a like an interesting, spooky, very eerie. Every time, the whole time I was watching, like the word eerie just kept popping into my head because like the music, the way that the music was so. I always talk about the music and the sound.
It's good,
but the way it was is it would like be super eerie and creepy, and then it would just stop.
Yeah.
And then it would be super creepy and eerie and like build up and then just stop again. And it was that, I don't know, there's something about that just really, really added to like the whole
like an unnerving kind of like there was this ongoing.
It was very unnerving and unsettling. I wrote down unsettling like 5 times.
And like there's this like real, I had like you have like a really kind of rattled feeling.
Yep.
Like as you're like kind of watching. And when I rewatched this actually this morning because I haven't watched it. I think I've seen it. I think I watched it maybe 3 times, but I was like over the, since it came out. And I was like, oh, I'm going to rewatch it, see how I feel. And this time it was very different because I immediately had like a serious fear because I think, with
someone in our comments just wrote I don't have my reading glasses.
Yeah.
Visibroidophobia is the fear of smiling faces. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Oh,
Thank you, John.
Thanks, John.
New facts. New facts.
That's a cool name too. Visibroidophobia.
I mean, I need some help pronouncing that, but yeah, I didn't know that was a thing.
It's cool. I like it. But so for me, this was a different experience because this time around, because there's that real intense horror of you trying to explain something that's real and true and happening and everybody else thinking it's not happening. Now, this is like, I guess, TMI, but when I had
ever stopped you, Renee?
Never. I'm just giving you giving you a little warning. So, at the beginning, earlier this year, I had that major surgery, blah, blah, blah. So when I had that surgery, a lot of people aren't aware of this, but I actually got a really bad infection in my wound, in a part of the wound that I had. And I also had a bit of a reaction to having like oxycodone nonstop all day, every day.
Oh, no.
So it was a mixture of the infection and the oxycodone. And I actually had a very severe onset of delirium, which I've never had in my life. And for those who don't know what delirium is, it may as well be this film. Okay. So it's hallucinations, auditory, visual, extreme fear, anxiety, and untrusting of everyone around you. I was hearing all sorts of things, seeing all sorts of things that were not there.
And it's scary because the auditory ones,
psychosis.
It's like psychosis, exactly, except it doesn't have that extra element. So I had to stay in hospital for an extra week because of the delirium. They had to make sure that it was going to subside. It comes on very quickly, almost in hours, you know, and it just happens, and automatically it's. I mean, I still have moments where I think about some of the things that happened to me during that period of time in hospital. And I get very, very stressed and anxious about, did that really happen or not? Even though I you know what I mean? And so when I watched it this time, it was like, because I was really frightened that I was not going to be let out. I was convinced that the nurses and the doctors were trying to convince authorities that I was crazy and they were going to keep me there. So and the nurses were trying to poison me. They were putting things in my IV. I ripped my IV out. Like it was bad. And I hadn't, you know, like it was just horrendous.
They didn't have to tie you down though, did they?
No.
Okay,
but
no restraint. No restraints.
No, okay, but they had to come and watch me like a lot.
So these are like ideas of persecution and shit.
Yeah, 100%, right? And you know, I was like, you know, I thought that they were doing things that weren't doing. For a perfect example of, I was like, this could be in a film, but like a perfect example is I ripped everything off the bed because on the sheets, I believe that written all over the sheets was like, Renee should die, Renee's this, Renee, all these horrible things.
That's horrifying. That's so scary.
So I ripped it all off, ripped all the sheets off, and I asked and I said, do you think I don't know what you're doing? And I was saying this to the nurse. And the nurse was like trying to, you know, they get trained in how to deal with delirium.
Oh, sure.
But they be calm and they're listening and trying to, like as if that's really real. And so, you know, she took them away and then she put them in a basket and then she was bringing, you know, remaking the bed and she brought the same sheets in and I was like, they're the same sheets. And I, you know,
I mean,
so
that wasn't very nice.
No, but she didn't. No, but she obviously folded them all away, and you know,
yeah,
what I mean?
Of course,
I wasn't meant to see, but I'm like skulking around because that's the state of mind that I was in, and you know, I had to have.
It was hard for you to watch then.
Yeah, so this time around it was hard because I could actually 100% relate to how Rose was feeling because I was, and also Laura at the beginning because I was like, you know, I've never had this kind of experience before, and then suddenly I was. And, you know, one of the things that I came out of that experience was I have a brand new respect and you know, not that I didn't before, but like also empathy for all of these people that are, you know, do have mental health issues, whether it's a homeless person on the road or whatever it might be. Because
why I do the work I do, Renee.
Yeah, because we
thank you for your service, Jenna.
Because we dismiss them, and you know, and we really don't think about who these people are. And from, you know, from literally hours to overnight, I was like an entirely different person. And
I mean, I'm just in awe that you. I didn't know this, but also you were.
I will tell you guys another time the craziness because there's a lot to it.
We'll get the private story.
The very, you know, short, unabridged.
No, I'm impressed. I'm impressed with your resilience and also your bounce backness. I don't know the word for that.
I like that.
I'm glad you're back. Because what I'm trying
resilience. It's resilience.
Okay.
Like tenacity.
Yeah. So you know, this time around,
gumption, I guess, could be one.
Gumption. Yeah, I love that word, gumption.
I'm just a walking thesaurus over here today, people.
Hey, it works for me. It's fine.
I'm writing too many papers.
Yeah, but it is like, right. So it's a crazy, crazy thing. And I had no idea that delirium is something that anybody can get. It's very common when you have big surgeries. I was in surgery for over 7 hours.
Oh my God.
And that's when things get hard, and these sort of things can happen. So
Yeah.
I had no idea. It was brand new to me. I had 2 psychiatrists visiting me every day, asking me that scene actually where Rose is speaking to Laura and she says, bear with me, it might seem like a silly question, where are you? Blah, blah, what time? That's exactly what they would ask.
What day is it? What
yeah, so they would say to me, they would say, what time is it? What day is it?
That's
Where
part of
are
the mental
you?
status exam. It's part of a mental status exam that we have to do, that we have to find out if the person is oriented to time, place, and situation.
Yeah. And so that was how they would, every time they saw me, they would ask these questions, and then they would give me tasks that I couldn't do, which are like to test you where you're at. So it'd be things like, they'd say, are you a numbers person or a words person? And I'd usually be like, oh, words. And so they would go, okay, can you, say this word backwards? And I'd be like,
oh no, I can't even say the alphabet backwards. Like,
yeah.
If I ever got pulled over and they asked me to do that, I would just be like, I can't do this sober. Like, I can't do it drunk.
My dad was staring at me and going like, and I was like, I don't know. I have no clue what the answer is. And, even afterwards for ages, I was trying to memorize it because I was like, what? And, and then they were like alphabet, not alphabet, something else backwards. Anyway, it was lots of these.
No, can't do it. Sorry, my brain doesn't work that way.
No, and I couldn't do it. And I was like, oh my God. And I was stressing out because I was thinking, oh my God, they're not going to let me out,
Bonnie,
and then
what's going on with your face right now?
Bonnie's got like, oh dear. Bonnie's checking her face.
Okay.
Are you there, love?
She looks very concerned for a moment, so I got very like.
For some reason, it's muted me, and I don't know why.
No, you're back now.
You just looked really concerned, and I was like, "Oh my God, did something happen?
Why is my mic not working? Hold on."
But, yeah, so that kind of we can hear you again. Yeah, so that
now
experience.
We can't hear you. Now we can hear you.
Can you guys hear me?
I can see your mute thing going on.
I can't hear you though.
Really?
Oh, we can hear you.
I don't know what happened.
Uh-oh.
Oh wait.
Tech issues.
That's okay. I had computer problems before I got on, so I tried to log on and it said,
just keep talking. I'll.
Okay.
Yeah, but anyway,
I'll be there.
short story, like a long short story. But so yeah, that really impacted my viewing this time because I actually experienced the horror of being trapped in a state where you feel like that those things are happening to you. So this time around, I was like it was slightly triggering, but it was also like, whoa, like it was just like reiterating how crazy that situation was. But also how fragile humans are and vulnerable to these kind of things we are. And that's, I think, one takeaway I got, that I took away from the film the first time, but I took it away much more heavily, I think, this time, because it was like, these things can happen to any of us at any time. You really have no idea that this is going to happen to you.
I truly believe that every single person at least one time in their life is going to suffer some sort of emotional breakdown or some sort of diagnosis of a mental illness, whether it's, major depressive disorder, whether it's general anxiety disorder, whether it's PTSD. Every single person is going to experience something in their life. And that's why I think it's so important to normalize mental health care and mental health diagnoses, because everybody's going to have one at one point, just because of that's the nature of humanity and the nature of society. I feel like we're all going to suffer some sort of trauma, or we're all going to suffer some sort of like anxious time or some super stressful time that like makes us, feel a certain way or something. It's just, while I really, really love this movie, so I saw it for the first time when it came out, and I remember really liking it, but then I feel like I kind of just forgot about it. So I was really glad when we agreed on to do this one, because now that I'm even more active in the mental health care world than I was when I first watched it, it was a different experience, I think, for me. I think I think it was a little bit more frightening for me, because now that I'm like really becoming a practitioner, I was like, oh my God, this, especially the beginning of it is like every therapist's worst nightmare. You have a client come in, you're trying to help them. They're incredibly distressed. You're using all the skills and the tools that you've learned through all of your years of training, and then the person just like snaps and then they kill themselves in front of you. And that is like, I was watching it earlier today and I was just like, oh man, I really hope that never happens to me.
Can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Sorry, it was some weird malfunction. I had a haunted computer for 5 minutes and my audio and my mic weren't working. which is probably great for you because you probably actually got to talk. So me and
sure?
all the time.
Are you sure it's haunted?
I don't. I know, right? I'm all into EVP lately, so I'm all like, maybe it is, maybe it's haunted. And here's the thing, again, therapy's new for me. So going to a therapist, I'm doing Zoom calls.
Okay.
So what was weird for me in that first scene was, why is that room so big?
It is very large. It will be. It's
over
a
large.
It's a hospital. We also don't know. I'm pretty sure we don't know for sure whether she's a psychiatrist or a psychologist.
And she's filling in, right? She's filling in for someone, and that's why she's
she's in emergency.
She's in an emergency psychiatric ward in a hospital.
Okay, so and again, I just watched this, so I don't know why I remember, but how did she get? Was it a mirror that broke? That's how she got that?
No, she broke a planter of a plant that was on the table, and she grabbed like a piece of the ceramic and like.
Okay.
That shot of the body, the shot of the body with the sheet over it and the like bloody cut. I don't know why. I love that shot.
That's so good. Even the scene where she actually cuts the smile.
Yeah.
To me, that was like a money shot. I was like,
it is.
Woo! I loved it. And it was such a great first scare, like to put
it
in.
Was.
I love that you said money shot because of my former industry.
I know.
I said it purely because of that. Like, and I always say, to me, it is like a money shot. You know? It really is. So, that's in horror. That's the money shot. Like, I just.
It is. Well, the fact that it went like right to it. I mean, that's another reason why.
I must no like kind of fuffing around. I love it when you start off with kind of a slow movie and you're not sure which way it's going to go. And I love it when there's like a real jarring scene really early on.
Yeah.
That kind of like really shakes you kind of to the core and goes, woo, like you have no idea what's going on now. Like,
I literally wrote down really unsettling intro because I love the way that they like had that whole scene and that very dramatic stuff, and then it goes into the the title sequence and all of that stuff. Sorry, my brain. I'm in finals right now, y'all. So
I'm impressed. I mean, this is I was going to say earlier too that, and it's not the same movie. It's not the same plot or style, or whatever. But I love the way that this intro was and the intro to It Follows, because it was so, we're throwing you in right now. Like, it's not, there's not a lot of backstory. There's not a lot of, we're getting to know this character that's about to kill herself. No, you're just going straight in. And that's what the jarringness of it is. And also, I have to give it up for Parker Finn for not turning this movie into just a number of jump scares. Yes, there is a few. Like when her sister, and you see in the trailer, when her sister walks up to the car, knocks on it,
yeah,
it's almost like a Juno E2 Japanese horror kind of.
Yeah, well, it reminds you of Grudge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a Japanese horror technique, is to 100%. Do that weird head thing. But here's
there's not many movies that make me scared like that. But I gotta say, the Japanese Grudge still makes me frightened.
They do it, and they do it in a lot of different Japanese.
In the dark, in silence, with nobody home, on your own.
And also no music, and no music cues. Because the thing with a lot of American horror, especially mainstream American horror, is they'll do the sound design or music where you know something's gonna happen. But now a lot of genre filmmakers, a lot of indie filmmakers are like, you know what, we don't want to do that because it's so everyone knows something's gonna happen.
It's so predictable. Like, come on, like
predictable, but also really spend a good portion of your budget on sound design, and you will make a great movie. So I did like that there was a lot of unexpected things in this movie. The ending threw me for a huge ass.
Oh, I love the ending so much. I love it when scary movies have dark endings. I just don't like the happy endings all the time.
I don't either. Happy ending.
It's one of the reasons I don't watch like rom-coms.
You have a happy ending.
Like wait, what? We're all talking over each other.
I'm listening intently, and you guys are talking over each other for once.
No, I was just saying it's one of the reasons I don't like watch like rom-coms and stuff like that, because I don't like those like perfectly happy endings, or like where like, you know, the hero wins all the time and all of that, because that's not how life is, you know. And I think it's scarier in a movie to leave it on this ending where you're like, oh crap, like now this guy is gonna have it, and
but also you don't know for sure. And that's, you know, another thing with this movie that I really like. Oh well, here, I do have to say something. I don't know if you guys talked about this when I was having technical difficulties, but I'm not a big fan of animal torture or death to show someone going off the
honestly, it very, very upsets me. It's why I haven't started watching John Wick, because somebody told me it starts with a dead dog, and I was like, I can't do it. I just can't do it.
Yeah. If you go to, and I say this every podcast, if you go to the website doesthedogdie.com and you put in, it's a real site. I've been using it for years. You put in the title of the movie or the TV show you're about to watch, it will tell you, but it's also for a lot of other triggers too. So it'll tell you if there's rape, they'll tell you if there's child abuse, they'll tell you if there's eating disorder, whatever. So there's a bunch of things, but I go to see, because if I see a dog or a cat in a movie poster, if I know it's going to be a great movie, but I need to know where the scene is, and is it off camera? Do I hear the animal in pain? What do I have? Because a lot of horror films we love, especially, and I mean, I like the new House of Fall of Usher, but there's a lot of horrible animal torture going on in that series. I need to know how to fast forward. I love Babadook, but I don't want to see that little puppy die. I don't want to see.
I did not like Babadook. Everybody loved that movie, and I thought it was just boring and predictable. And I did not like it. I was just like, why does everybody like this stupid ass movie?
Well, yeah, I mean,
I'm so mean. I'm so mean.
No, look, I tried to watch Babadook 4 times, and I turned it off every time.
I just didn't like it, and I have a friend who's like a film reviewer guy who I've known for just like. I have a friend who's like I've known since I was like 17 or something, and he's like 18 or something, and he's like a film reviewer guy, and he loved it, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna watch it. It's gonna be so good.
No, it's horrible.
Really predictable, and just really like
it's also one of the few times
and just not creepy. I don't know. I didn't like it.
It's a movie where I was rooting for the bad guy. I'm like, please kill that kid. Like I know you didn't think
that annoying little shit.
Right. But this is the thing when you love horror films like we do. It's sadly used a lot to show either somebody's evil or there's evil in a house or something's haunted or blah, 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 that an animal has to die. And I mean, I don't even want to get into the pet cemetery situation. But with this one, I was like not expecting the cat thing, but also I'm the aunt or I'm the problem. No, I would never do this. I should say this right off the bat. I would never kill an animal, put it in a box and go, here, where's your present? But I am the problematic friend who has 0 children. And I'm good for like hanging out with young kids for a limited amount of time because I write kids' books. So I have to do book tours and children are lining up and I can't say anything problematic or weird to them. So like I have to sort of be a functional human around children because I do a lot of kids' books. But when you're asked to go to a kid's birthday party and you don't have kids, and maybe you and your sister don't get along, and maybe you don't want to be around a bunch of Karens, and you don't want to be around a bunch of LA moms with mom bloggers, as I call them, you don't, because there's a certain kind of weird sorority girl thing going on that I don't understand. And so I always bring a gift that's usually a sex toy because I'm like, hey, you had a baby again. Yeah, I
lost the thread. Okay.
Yeah, I lost it too, but I'm not.
In this movie, when
all I heard was I've seen kids, then something about like soccer mom type things, and then something about sex toys.
I'm bringing it back. There is a point. Swear to God, there's a point. I'm trying not to show my mental degradation as an example.
It's okay.
There's a part in this movie where she is invited to her nephew's birthday.
Oh yeah.
And she clearly doesn't want to go. She clearly doesn't have any good connection. Is it her friend or sister? It's her sister, right?
It's her sister. It's her older sister.
To not have a good relationship.
She has resentment towards, obviously, like, because her older sister kind of left her with her mom to, like, cope with that shit.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
so
dude. There's a lot of unresolved trauma in this movie.
Yes. And there's a lot of family... And that's what I connect with, because, like, when I go home for the holidays, I'm like, okay, I don't even know what we're going to talk about. So I'm glad to be there. I'm happy to be there. I love my family, but I am the exotic bird from LA. They think I'm in a cult half the time. They don't know. So here's the thing. I identified with that whole situation of, okay, I have to ask, but also she's going nuts. So how do you act normal when you clearly don't feel normal?
When you sort of feel it, like that scene prior to her going, when she's practicing, like she's putting her makeup on, and then she practices
masking.
Yeah.
I think Jenna probably knows this from her studies too, and Renee, you probably know it too, just from being a very worldly, intelligent person. I didn't know this was a thing until I'm in therapy, and she's like, so I have to like read the room, try to figure out what the tone is, and also, I mean, clearly I didn't do it just now, but
Okay, that's because you're comfortable. You're comfortable. You know
Thank
what I
you.
mean?
This is a safe space, and you guys are my family.
No, I just lost the thread on that one. I didn't.
Trust me, I wasn't sure where I was going with it. You weren't alone in this scenario. But I was like, when I was watching this thing, and granted, I'm supposed to be scared of everything in this movie, but the thing that scared me the most in this movie was her mental state's not great, but she has to pretend she's okay. And that's how I feel all the time. So I have to pretend I'm okay in social situations that are stressful and
it's
not
called masking.
It's called masking, and that's what I was doing. So when I watched this movie, now that I'm in therapy and I know the terms, I was like, oh shit, she's masking. But here's the thing: she killed a cat and forgot she killed a cat and put it in a box. And I'm like, at least I'm not.
Did she kill the cat?
I don't think she killed the cat.
I don't think she killed the cat. I think that the creepy
person the entity killed the cat.
Something out. I don't think she did it.
Oh, I thought she did it because she's going insane, but she's forgetting. She's having.
No, I think
the entity So when it
out the train,
it switches out things and does things so that where so it wasn't actually her who did it. So she had no clue. She's just
of course she's gonna be blamed because her sister's
not gonna be blamed. Yes.
Can we just have a moment of silence for Mustache, please?
Also, what a great name for a cat.
I know, it's such a great name. I thought the same thing too. I was like, that's such a cute name. Even though I actually don't like Mustache.
Anyway, thank you for following me on that journey. I'm done now.
Yes, no, and I totally understand, that how you could relate to that being like the childless, but I feel the same way. I go if I go to like a baby shower or something, I'm like, okay, I'm like the odd person out because I don't have children, and I get it.
The last time I went to one, they were someone gave her a breast pump. I've never seen a breast pump in action, and I thought it was a sex toy. So
I love that.
That was like a tweaker the nipple thing, and I was like, oh, that's hot. And I said it out loud before I realized, oh, this isn't a sex toy. And then because I said it was sexy and hot, I think the rest of I'm bisexual, so who knows what the straight women were thinking when I said that. Oh shit, that's not a sex toy. That's like a milking apparatus.
It's like
I also love the emotional dynamics in this, where between partners and ex-partners, because I love that they kind of talked about that, and not in the traditional sense of the romance and the whatever, but it was sort of there are people who go through and trudge through the shit with you. And they sometimes, when this sort of stuff happens, they're the people who are there at the end and, will pick you up and will take you along. And then, and then there's the people her fiance who's just I don't want to borrow this.
By the way, who was played by the guy who plays A-Track in The Boys.
Yes,
I thought I recognized him.
He's A-Track in The Boys. I was like, I also was like the clinical director of the hospital is Kumar.
Yes.
And I was like, Kumar.
Yeah. And Kumar also had the gaslighting thing as well. I found it that was a really difficult thing. I think having your boss constantly kind of alluding to the fact that you're not okay and that you didn't do the right thing and these kind of things is also something that.
But at the same time, the hospital and the clinical director of the hospital has to protect for legality reasons and other thing. They have to protect and they have to make sure that the hospital is going to be okay and that there's not going to be some sort of incident with her in the hospital
later or something triggered.
Which
it's also it is sort of a trope in horror films when you
there's so many stigmas and stereotypes also in this film.
You do kind of watch this going, I know this is kind of like when you watch when you watch Jeopardy at home and you get all the answers right, but if you were on Jeopardy, would you do that, or would you
Can we talk about how much I love Jeopardy, by the way?
That scenario, right, where you're in the safety of your own home, so you don't have the pressure of millions of people watching you guess wrong because you're at home. So this situation, it was okay, if I'm actually going crazy, how much do I pretend I'm okay and do it successfully so I can keep my job, keep my fiance? Or do I just let myself go off the rails so I can at least get to the other side, a whole person? And when you watch movies like this, you're like, okay, if you're going to ask for help, it's kind of like that very tropey movie about the woman at the window. Where she
that was hilariously stupid.
But also when she goes up,
the one about the woman across the street in the window,
the window
one, the blonde actress. Yeah,
but also in the window. window, and then there was another one.
It had the longest title. No, it had the like longest title ever, and that's why I watched it, because I was like, "What is this?" And I just laughed my ass off the entire time to that show.
Well, it's weird because there's a serious one. There's a serious one, and then there's the one kind of making fun of it with Kristen.
Oh,
but my point was, when you are calling the cops or talking to the cops or talking to a boss or and I just demonstrated multiple times just in this podcast, I don't know how to ring it in. So like, how do you rein it in so you don't sound crazier the more you're talking? Clearly, I'm demonstrating it, not great. But like when you're talking to your boss or something, right? So when you're watching her be totally okay at the beginning of the movie, and then she's mentally just going off the rails because she doesn't know what's going on. She can't explain it to anyone. She's the only one who sees it. No one else is seeing it. How do you stay on track and not get just locked up somewhere? Because you still have to figure out what's going on. You still have to. She's a rational mind. She's psychiatry trained, psychology trained.
Yes.
She's probably going, what the fuck is this? I'm trained to deal with this with other people. How do you deal with
and I know that it wouldn't fit into the film, but it wouldn't fit into the film because it wouldn't be scary or creepy. But I was like, yo, she's a professional. Why isn't she using any mindfulness skills? Why isn't she using any emotional regulation or distress tolerance skills? Like, what's happening, lady? Like,
I think that's the thing, though, that like they're kind of trying to stress that thing that like even
that she lost her shit so bad.
Yeah,
like
you can lose your shit. Like you can really lose.
She couldn't even utilize the stuff that she was taught.
Anything she'd learned. Yeah, like
she doesn't have control. It's an entity. She doesn't have control. So it's also like it's almost like being possessed, right? So you can't if you can't control this outside thing that's now in you or now affecting you and no one else can see it. How do you explain it? How do you get past it? How do you actually just do a rational step by step? And you kind of see her trying to figure out the rules of whatever this thing is. And at the end, sadly, you think she's beat it, but then you're like, oh crap, I guess not.
No,
but you think she's gonna beat it because she's figured out what she's supposed to do, but it's not quite that.
Even that scene where she's thinking about it, where she's actually gone, okay, so if I really want to get out of this, I have to kill someone. Can I kill someone? And she actually thinks about that scenario of
of going and killing her patient.
Yeah, because that's how
I would kill the fiance that left me, but that's just, I'm a romantic.
I also love that guy, whoever you are, dude, that plays the support guy, that plays that creeper. Like, minute little role, but you are so creepy, dude. Like,
I know, right?
So creepy. He was so good. I loved that guy. But yeah, like I think that's the thing. Like, it just shows how easily you can break down someone's psyche, and you completely lose control where you can't use like those skills. And I mean, even in my own experience, like talking about delirium, like I have a psychology degree. I worked with a psychiatrist in his clinic. I did not know. I was completely out of control and completely couldn't control my situation or understand how to fix it. And
that's why it's so essential that we have, like, around the world in every country, we have comprehensive mental health care, and we take it seriously. But it's only recently that I feel like there's been a lot of like stigma breakdown and like normalization of it. But we still have a long way to go as far as like having like universal coverage for everyone, and having accessible mental health care that's affordable for people, and that people can any person from any SES can have. You know what I mean? Sorry, socioeconomic status.
And to the tropes that you guys were talking about, like the tropes that come in with it. I think they're inherent.
Let me get into my notes, Renee.
Let's do it.
It's inherent to the stigma and that is actually attached to the psychiatry industry and mental health problems in general. That's how come I feel like that's why these tropes continue. It's not necessarily because it's just a horror thing. I think they continue because these are issues that still have extreme.
And there's some misogyny built in too. There's some misogyny built in because it's like the unhinged woman.
Definitely. And I mean, the cops make comments about like, what are you, a nutcase? Like what is she, a nutcase? There's so many little comments that like reference mental health stigma and and reference these stereotypes that people who have mental disorders, which I think is normal for everyone to pretty much have because of the way that the way life is. But anyways, it has like these stereotypes that they highlight in here. And I think it's meant to bring I don't think it's meant to like buy in to the stereotypes. I think it's actually meant to like highlight it and say like, look, this is how people are treated when they're having breakdowns sometimes, you know, they're treated like they're dangerous, you know, like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, like, you know, crazy, like you can't, you know, and they're treated with disdain and looked down upon, you know what I mean? And that's unacceptable in my perspective. And I loved how this movie kind of like showed that, but it was also very unsettling to hear these things as someone who works in mental health care. You know, I'm just kind of like, I wanted to punch that cop when he said that. Like I really did. There's so many like little underlying things, like the whole like idea, the whole societal thought that like hurt people. Like, okay. And so you see this like chain of like suicides happen, you know? And I was kind of wondering if it was some kind of like weird horror analogy for like vicarious trauma and how like people who are exposed to trauma over and over again, like they take on a lot of that trauma themselves, you know?
Like being an empath in a way.
I mean, yeah, because it's something that happens to therapists a lot, is that because we hear so many really hard stories, we end up having to like have our own therapists ourselves just to cope with like these kinds of things. And so I was watching this and I was just thinking like, wow, this is like something that's like a viral mental illness almost. And it's like spreading. And it just reminds me of like how you hear that, like, you know, that quote of like, oh, hurt people. And like it perpetuates this cycle, you know? So I don't know. That was kind of like one of the,
I also felt the concept. There's also the concept of, and I don't want to bring religion into it, but I was kind of raised in some religious stuff. And I will say that there is this old terminology called the sin eater, where you hear people's pain, and this, I think it's in many religions, many cultures. It's like taking their pain. Well. Yeah, you take in their pain for them. So they feel, it's not like a Hail Mary situation, but it is kind of like, you hear all their pain, you take it from them, so they have a sense of relief that another person knows their pain, another person is hearing them, listening to them, which is not always the case for a lot of people dealing with trauma. They're in their own pain zone and they can't find validation or anyone to like give them any kind of sympathy or empathy. Especially now, I feel like empathy and compassion are not necessarily taught across the board by parenting, teachers, friends, religious, whatever. And so when you have that lack of empathy, lack of compassion, mental illness is even harder to help people because they don't have that connection, that human connection or that understanding, or at least having people open to being understanding. And also we live in a country that's very, a pill will fix it instead of maybe a pill could help, but you know what else could help? Talking about it. And also not having, like, group therapy is good, regular therapy is good, but you need someone to talk to that doesn't judge you and also will let you talk and to let you feel like you're understood. And I think that goes a long way. And sadly, it's not the norm. And I think this movie really showed, you know, when you have people that say, I believe you, that goes so, I mean, God, if anyone just said, you know, I don't see what you're seeing.
I'm so sorry if you guys, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I'm so sorry if you guys can hear my dog crying in the background. She wants treats so badly, and she's just like crying over here, and I'm like, I'm so sorry, baby.
You're not wondering the shot, is she too distracting if she's on in the shot with you?
It's just, she's just over there. She's my little She just wants me. She just wants me. Her new thing now is like when I leave the house, she sleeps on my school bag. And because it smells like me, I guess. It's so cute.
My mom, oh my God.
She just wants to be like with me all the time. So
my dog would drag her dog bed down the stairs to the front door. So when I came in the front door, I had to slowly open it because her dog bed would be right there.
Anyways, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to but I thought she just was crying so loud. I was like, oh my God, I bet they could hear that.
One of the things that I did think as well, and I don't know, Jenna, whether that crossed your mind as well, but I was wondering whether the fact that it was suicide each time, what was the significance? It's not just trauma. We're talking about each time it's suicide that they're witnessing. And I feel like there's some kind of message or something in there about how people deal with their own pain, you know, and trauma, like the reason why it was chosen to be suicides each time rather than just trauma.
Well, I mean, I think that there's kind of a societal thought among some individuals that, you know, like exposure to suicide is going to make a person more likely to commit suicide. So I was actually wondering if that was one of the little underlying things that they were trying to get at, or that, crazy, or the idea that like crazy begets crazy, or that one person's emotion and trauma can bleed into another person's emotion and trauma, and that it perpetuates this cycle of trauma. Sense. I'm like, if that makes sense. My brain was going a bunch of different ways when I was watching this today. I was like, ooh, it could be that perspective. Ooh, it could be like that.
I mean, I know like in high school, I had a friend commit suicide and the whole school was on alert. And this is like, this is late 80s. The whole school was on alert because they were worried there would be more suicides because of this suicide. It wasn't like a phenomenon. It was just a thing that sometimes teenagers, when someone close to them dies, then they want, it's not a Romeo and Juliet thing. It was just like, it was something like that, what you described, but like I don't know what they do now in schools when
I don't know how true. I don't know how true that is. I haven't really read a lot of studies on that. I would have to look into that. But and like when I've done suicide counseling and stuff like that too, like I know that like during the trainings that I've done for that, they talk about how like, people are afraid to talk about suicide with other people, and they're afraid to ask somebody, like, are you going to commit suicide? And you can't say commit, because commit is a terrible word to use with it too. You have to like directly ask a person, like, are you going to kill yourself? Do you have a plan to kill yourself? And people are afraid to do that because they're afraid that bringing it up is going to trigger the person or put the idea in their head so that they will go out and do it. So that's why it's so important to normalize.
That's
why it's so important to like normalize the discussion around suicide and suicidal ideation and suicidal intent, because it's something that people need to talk about.
I mean, in our high school, we had a training thing. So seniors in high school, and I did this. So seniors in high school could train with a counselor to be what they would call high school counselors with other high school kids, because sometimes high school kids don't want to talk to adults. So I was the go-to person for suicide and rape. So when girls wanted to talk to another girl, and full of secrets, hair is full of secrets. I'm not going to tell anyone. We signed things that said we were never going to say anything to anyone. And if they're suicidal, it's tricky, because if someone is suicidal, you still have to do a certain thing where
you have to assess for intent and risk,
because you can't keep that secret. Because if you knew they were going to commit suicide and then they do it, I'm not even talking legal issues aside. I'm just talking about that you can't. It's like if someone said to you, I'm going to bring a gun to school and shoot everyone.
You're mandated reporter. You're a mandated reporter. Like I'm a mandated reporter. I have to report. I have to report if someone's is an imminent risk to themselves, has a homicidal intent, and is going to has a plan to harm another person, or if there's suspected child abuse or elderly abuse.
Right.
I have to report all of those.
Right. Yeah. But this was 1987.
Okay.
So I don't know what the rules were, but what I asked though is if we are bringing an adult in.
I was 5.
I am a vampire. I'm forever. I'm 200 years old. So
yeah, you really are. Like when you said that, I was like, what?
I know. Let's not dwell on the year. But what I did was unorthodox. So what I said is, hey, if we're gonna do this, I still want to be there for them. I want to sit right next to them. I want to hold their hand when the adult's in the room, so they know I didn't abandon them and just tell on them. Especially when it came to rape, especially when it came to incest or home, like rape from a family member.
This show got dark.
I'm not trying to be dark. The reason I bring this up is because suicide just doesn't happen. Suicide happens because there's a trauma involved, and a lot of that trauma is something from adult they had trust or their safe space gone. So like when
it's that something happened and they have no way of releasing those emotions, or no one to talk to, or no one to understand. Yeah, which is by the way, I will say right now that if anyone is having any suicidal ideations or any thoughts, or if anyone's in crisis, please call Lifeline at 988.
Yes, definitely. And
that was my little PSA right now.
But you have to do that now, because if we don't, we should have that also. Can you make that a number across the way, Renee, like we do with comments? Because the reason I'm bringing it up now is because YouTube will shut this video down if they find out we're talking about suicide, because it's
really?
Yeah, because all of YouTube stuff is AI community, and if anyone does subtitles on this and that word comes up too much, they'll shut down the video.
Wow, I didn't know that. Well, what we're doing right now, what we're talking about is suicide awareness and suicide prevention. So if anybody has ever have any thoughts, or if anyone just needs to talk to someone in an emotional crisis, There's someone always there 24/7 to talk to you. At Lifeline, the number is really easy in the United States. It's 988.
Thank you. Thank you, Jenna. That's why I'm so glad we're talking to you.
You're welcome.
But this is a heavy movie, and this is a heavy movie about suicide. I mean, it's crazy because it's suicide, but also an entity, but also psychology, but also family trauma, but also relationship trauma, and also job trauma. There's a lot.
But that's why I like it so much, is because I love the psychological scary movies because they're just deeper, you know? And while they're creepy, you can look at them from like a surface level of, oh, this is a creepy movie and this is scary, or you can go deeper, you know? And I just love being able to have those underlying messages about like the need of comprehensive mental health care, or having like the, you know, the underlying messages of like just mental health awareness and awareness of, you know, of acceptance of it and everything like that. Like it's nice, but it is a creepy movie. Like even if you don't look at it deeper, it's a creepy movie. Like
and
it's
also it's also like, yeah, there's an entity, but there's also like side effects of medications can make you feel that way. And you could be fine and not have trauma and not have a history of any of this and have a side effect from just some medicine you're taking that gives you suicidal thoughts or make you think that that's the way to go or whatever. Because your brain is a thing that's, you'd like to think you're in control of your brain at all times, but sometimes you're not. Like what Renee was describing, that's horrifying. That's horrifying. And if you
it is. It's something that you can't. I mean, I can't even properly explain it. Really, like it is hard. And I think, I mean, John Peters in the comments mentioned, you know, family and friends need to understand the warning signs, and I 100% agree with that. I've lost in my lifetime. I've lost a lot of friends, family to suicide. Over COVID, I lost a lot of friends to suicide. And looking back on a lot of those, majority of the times people can see the signs. They chose not to delve into it, not to approach it.
Yeah,
you know, because they didn't know what they were doing.
Because people are afraid.
They're
afraid to approach the topic. They're afraid of the hard, difficult conversation. They're afraid that it's going to trigger the person into actually doing it. But that's what needs to happen, is people need to actually talk about it, because I guarantee you almost every single person on this earth, and probably literally every single person on this earth, has had the thought in their head at least one time.
Oh yeah, totally.
You know what I mean? Like, and I think it's such a common human thing that we tend to look down on and tend to like not want to talk about, and just like, you know, put in a little box and put it to the side, you know. But it's a very important issue, especially nowadays, because it's really, I think, prevalent in the media, and you see these celebrities and people that are, you know, doing this. And so I just think it's a really important conversation. That's why I really liked this movie. I think that it had a lot of different elements of that, you know. I really thought it was very deep for a spooky movie.
For me, it kind of like, I felt like it was kind of, you know, it was almost like it's a metaphor for, you know, people's sort of control over their mind in response to trauma, and then that overwhelming pressure, you know, for people to feel like they need to cover up those struggles and, you know, fake happiness, which is that scary, creepy smile, you know, that we kind of, and I guess that smile takes on a whole other entity.
I wonder if they had to do like training in the creepy smile for this movie.
I mean, I tried to do it at the beginning of this podcast, and we saw how.
I mean, I don't think I'm good.
I was not successful. I just look like a deranged person.
You look fun. I look like that kid in the Sears, like in school pictures, where you're like I look like the Joker.
Can I bring up something not so serious for a moment? So we do a little bit out of the darkness. Can I just tell you, if she broke one more wine glass, I was going to scream at the TV. I was like, come on, lady. Those look like nice glasses, too. Like, those did not.
I think it's some plastic tumblers. You don't need the nice glasses. Get the tumblers.
And I'm sorry, but
the fiance goes, did you break another glass? And I'm
just get a tumbler. Just get a
She also like poured, it was just so funny to me. She poured like the smallest glasses for herself, and she drank them so quickly, but they were like the tiniest. And I was like, bitch, pour yourself a real glass after everything you've been through. Like, come on.
You know, at Target, they call it the bottle glass. It's a giant glass you could fit a whole bottle of wine in. Just do that.
Just do it.
Or do the boxed wine. Slap the bag, drink it. You know, you don't.
You mean a goon bag, as we call it here in Australia?
Ooh, I'm sorry.
What you do is you open that damn box of wine. You just take the whole box out, and then you just have the goon bag, and you just
That's what it's called. That's what we do. Yeah.
That's what they call it here in
Fox-
Australia.
Fox
But I
wine is
also-
like a from me. Like no,
I also think boba.
I have a relative.
I
who's
grew up
sommelier,
in a
like
small-
no.
I grew up in a small country town. I've seen
Hey,
it
I grew
all.
up in a rural area where beer bong
Australia.
was
Australia.
a sport. Beer bong was a sport. But I like to get those boba straws that are like that, and then I just Capri Sun it. So I just get a giant. This feels like a cry for help, but it's just like a giant bag of wine, and I do the sharp straws that you for boba, and it's like just a Capri Sun. It's an adult Capri Sun, basically, for me now.
Yes. Shout out as well. Yes, Kyle Gallner is amazing in this film. I've always had a crush on
I love
Kyle
that you both of you always know all the actors' name and the directors, and I'm always just completely oblivious. And when you guys are saying when y'all are saying these names, but when y'all are saying these names, I'm like, who? Who?
So the ex-boyfriend, his name is Kyle Gallner. He's in loads of indie films and stuff
really
like that.
care about her.
The ex-husband, ex-boyfriend, yeah, the ex-boyfriend.
Right.
Yeah.
But no, I don't know why I date a cop though. That's kind of me.
Anyway, he's cool, and I don't know. I'm a nerd. I know these things, but
I'm a nerd too. But here's the thing: I'm desperate to get into writing horror. So as soon as I find a movie I like, I'm like, okay, who wrote it, who directed it, who produced it? Now I'm following.
Patience, Bonnie. Let me finish my degree.
Yeah.
We can work on a film.
Can we make a movie
I
already?
wanted to talk about as well because I loved this in this film. I actually loved the reveal of the actual entity monster, and it's creepy as hell, and I loved it. I was like, when I was thinking because towards
you mean the
end,
big tall like.
with the
I
lady,
didn't like that. That was actually my least favorite.
Oh, really?
When the thing like sheds its skin and then her mouth opens and it goes in, I loved that shot. But
Yeah,
there was a couple of the big lumbering shots that I thought were a little cheesy.
Well, see that actually those shots and also the bit where she goes inside of her, they are that's a very kind of like what do you call it? Like it's very much a very clear depiction of what sin eaters look like and have appeared like in other things. So they generally are really quite tall, lanky. Their jaws they look very much like sin eaters, and that was. I mean, when you brought that up earlier, I was going to say, Bonnie, like that definitely was seems to be a part of the inspiration for. The monster
it's in a lot of Japanese horror, but it's also there's something like that. I think in Insidious 2, there's something like that, sort of in Barbarian. Definitely in Japanese horror films. Yeah. Definitely in video games that are video.
There was even an X-File that had a version of a
as well. That's right. I forgot about that episode. Yeah. So but I liked it. It was unexpected, but also creepy as hell. But also
because when it gets to when you're watching a film and you're engrossed in it, and then sometimes when they reveal like the physical representation, it's a bit crap. And like, I mean, I totally get that Jenna didn't love it, but like, I don't know. For me, it was kind of this. I think more to the point, not necessarily the monster itself. I think the shots are what made the monster great.
Yeah, well, I think that the shots and the camera work in this was absolutely amazing. I think that they did so many different like panning, moving shots that were so amazing, and then they did like a lot of upside down and things, which in film school I believe that like when you do like a Dutch shot or you do those weird like angle upside down shots, it's meant to increase like a sense of unease and unsettlingness. But I just love that. I thought that the combination of like the panning work that they kept doing with the like unsettling angles that they were doing, like combined with the weird, like the music that would be like so creepy and then just stop and then so creepy and then just stop at the moment. I just thought all of that was like put together like so well to have such a great effect on the film. But as far as like the monster representation or the entity representation, I thought that like the smiling stuff was so much creepier. I don't know why, but like I was just like that was
when the monster put its head down and then the smile goes real big.
Yeah, that was good.
That was cool. That was the bit when I was like, oh yeah, creepy. When they were showing the drawings and stuff as well, like you could see it was.
The drawings were really well done too, by the way. Can we talk about how good the drawings were?
No,
they were really well done. Like, and there was also There was also, before I forget, there was also a moment where I felt like it was like an Alien homage because like the therapist like has her against the thing and then all like the drool is coming out and it's that side shot. And I was like, I've never even seen all of Alien, but I know that that feels like Alien.
Yeah, totally.
That famous shot, you know, of the character's Ripley, right? Because I've never.
Yes, Ripley.
You've
been listening. Bonnie's been dropping him all the time, and you get it.
I'm wondering, maybe with that for 2024, maybe we watch Alien or Aliens. Because I consider that horror. I don't consider it sci-fi.
I've only seen segments of the original when I was a kid. So and I don't know why. I don't know why I never got into it, to be honest.
Well, it's weird because it came out a lot earlier than people think. It came out in the 70s, the first one. But also the first one
is homework.
Yeah, the first one and the second one I think are the best of the Alien movies. But here's the thing. There's a little tabby cat named Jonesy who does not get killed by the alien. And I love Jonesy because I also like to think Jonesy and the cat in Captain Marvel are from the same species. They're not regular human cats. But I like the fact that this was also, Alien's one of those movies that I love because it was groundbreaking, great story, great effects, strong female character, but strong characters across the board, great storytelling, great visuals. But it also shows like this weird, crazy, not weird, crazy, but just like this sense of, oh shit, no one's going to believe this. And Aliens 2 is, I think, the best one because no one believes Ripley. She's the I don't want to ruin it.
Yeah, can we not like ruin this?
Let's not go into it yet.
Because this is like an iconic series that I've actually never.
Yeah, we've got to
that I would like to see. Like, there's some iconic series that people.
I'll just say there's a lot of gaslighting across the board.
I have no desire. I have no desire to see Godfather. I've never seen The Godfathers. I have no desire. I will never will. But Alien is one that I would like to eventually.
I think of a movie that everyone's seen that I haven't. Is there one for you, Renee, that there's a movie that everyone's like, oh my God, I can't believe you haven't seen it? And you're like,
oh my God, there's so many for me. It's not even funny. There's like Alien, Schindler's List.
I mean, I went to film school. By the way, Parker Finn and I went to the same college. 30 years apart, but we still. I went to Boulder.
This was a pretty good film for someone, you know, where it was their first feature-length debut.
Oh, and is he in his?
He is. I think he's.
30?
Let me see. Yeah, I think possibly. Yeah. You know, once you get to a certain age, everybody is just whatevs.
Everybody just looks young. They just look young to me. I don't know.
Yeah, you kind of just don't think anymore.
So the Boulder, Colorado it's University of Colorado at Boulder. That school. So I went to school with Matt and Trey from South Park. If that gives you any indication of the level of talent, they're great. I'm not that level of talent, but they have a quirky sense of creativity that only Boulder can kind of really resonate with. That's why South Park takes place in Colorado. It's that. South Park's real. But Robert Redford flunked out of our college trying to do film school. So that should tell you something. And then you have like people like this who are making these amazing movies. And I'm like, wait a minute, why did it skip over me? But also I was in the time of film where your final film there was no digital. So you had to pay money to make a real film. Whereas now everything's digital. Everyone can do it.
Everyone can do, yeah.
You know what? I miss the days of like my first, I'm going to reminisce for a minute. My first like photo shoots and everything in the industry were all like, we would shoot all the pictures on film and we would have to take film Polaroids. And I still have like a collection of all the little test shots and things like that. And I have like strips of like the film from my first photo shoots.
You're just giving
me I missed all of that because it was so exciting to take pictures and then see how they looked afterwards you got them developed. Like it was so much fun. We would take those little light box things and put the film on top of it and have the little like
yeah. I mean you just gave me flashbacks because I have a bunch of Polaroids from Vivid Alt. Like
that's awesome.
Yeah, I have a bunch of like Polaroids from them the head of Vivid Alt gave me when I was in LA one time. So I've got like a whole bunch of them of all different actresses and stuff that I love. So
it's a lot cheaper now with the digital stuff. So,
but they're so cool to look at. Like I love. Like I remember, he was just like, here, do you want to take a whole bunch? And I went, yep. Just took all the ones that I wanted.
I'm trying to remember when I was a Suicide Girl. I don't think I did digital. I think it was all regular. By the way, don't look me up because I was only a Suicide Girl for like half a year and then I was out. But when I did
my first movies were done on the cameras with actual tape, dude.
Yeah,
my first movies were on VHS. Like,
I just realized I should preface that. I need to preface this so I don't get in trouble. Suicide Girl was not a suicidal thing. That was what we called our. It was a genre. It was like Playboy, but for alt models.
Yes.
So okay, just in case, because it is old. It's like from the 90s.
I know
it still exists. It still exists, Bonnie. There's
okay, good.
Yeah,
okay.
it still exists.
Sorry, I was like in old timey days.
Most people know.
Before cam girls, before the internet,
before OnlyFans and all of that stuff. Yeah, it used to happen on a camera. It used to print it out, and you'd have to scan it to get it to be digital.
I remember doing Betty Page lookalike stuff when Dita was still Heather Sweet, when Dita Von Teese was starting out.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying I'm that level because I wish, but we were both doing GlamourCon stuff and Betty Page stuff, and that was all like regular film. There's nothing digital about it. But also Betty Page, a lot of those photos of her were of camera clubs, so those were like just regular Joes that would pay $100 to take as many photos as they want of her. That's just how they did it in the 50s. And I was just thinking about that the other day, that technology's advanced to the point now too, because the AI situation with actors. The cam girls are now getting replaced by AI. In fact, there's a great horror film called Cam Girl about a cam girl that's replaced by AI.
Yeah.
Is that on Netflix? I think.
I haven't seen it yet.
I remember
pop up,
reading
but I haven't watched it.
Well, what
AI and robots creep me out. Like when it comes to that type era, I think, and when it gets into all of that, I'm like, when we start replacing, sex workers and cam girls and strippers and all of that with AI and robots, creeps me out. I don't know.
I do
the whole AI thing creeps me out, period. Like, I just think that there is no replacement for actual human authenticity. Like, there's just not, and I think it's super fucking creepy. Like,
it's also weird because I know during COVID, two of my friends that were really good at graphics for video game companies. One of them worked at Blizzard. One of them worked at Riot. They both got laid off in the massive game layoffs that have been happening lately. And they pivoted to doing virtual porn using video game characters, but they do it so well with the the technology that now I think Pornhub, it's like the number third search now is video game porn. So it's just video game characters.
Ew,
you
said my least favorite word in the human language.
Porn?
Oh, no, you said the PH word. We don't talk about just kidding.
Wait, what's the PH word?
The company and the platform that I absolutely detest.
Oh, Pornhub, baby.
Oh, sorry.
For those of you who don't know and are watching this, I encourage you to listen to The Butterfly Effect by Jon Ronson. Which discusses, it's a podcast episode that basically discusses what MindGeek and the people behind that platform that I do not like, how they basically infiltrated kind of the business and basically started, these tube site platforms that built their fan base off of stealing other people's content, my companies included. And because, yes. And because of Section 230, which dictates that platforms are not responsible for what users upload, it became a constant battle for me sending DMCAs out every time they would upload my stuff. And they knew that it was my stuff, and they still allowed people to upload it. And I still have to have a piracy company send them stuff. And I the reason why I have disdain for that company is because even though I know a lot of girls in this industry make good money off them now, they have legitimized themselves to an extent as far as paying some of the performers and stuff and not stealing all their content. But they basically built their platform off of stealing other people's content. And that's just so unbelievably unethical to me, because I believe, and I talked about this in my TED Talk, I believe that they literally mentally trained society to believe that they should not have to pay for adult films, that it should be free.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Because before that, people used to pay $60, $70 to see one of my movies.
Yeah.
And now it's like
I might have been one of them.
What?
I'm like, wait a minute. Yeah, because I found 3 of your movies before I met you, and I was like, I paid for those. I paid good money for those.
Thank you. So yes, and my other PSA today is please like pay for your stuff, because it's not just the performers and the studios that hurt from the piracy. You're talking makeup artists, you're talking crews, you're talking editors, you're talking, you know, PAs who are the baby wipe guys. Like you're talking, you know, you're talking all of these different people that it is affect. And it's very sad because society now, because it's so normalized, just believes that they shouldn't have to pay for it. So
yeah,
that's my little rant on that. That's my little
rant. It's not a rant.
I do not blame performers for collaborating with the company, because I feel like they've created an industry where performers have to work with you know, some of these platforms and stuff like that in order to get the traffic and in order to get the fan base. But it didn't used to be like that before, you know.
Yeah, it still has a lot of stolen content. I mean,
it's awful. To this day, I have been retired since 2011. I still send out DMCAs on the daily. I still have to constantly search on Twitter, search on, you know, all these different, you know, social media platforms for pirated content of mine and send it to my company and get it removed. And it's just frustrating that people think that they just have an unlimited right to the art that you created. Like, and it's not just art, and it's not just the art and the creative aspect and the fact that like I put so much work into it. It's also the fact that like it's my body that's being pirated in a way. Like, it's my sexual energy that's being pirated away, and it's just hurtful to me. So yeah, I pay for your porn, people. Pay for your porn.
Yeah, I bought your movie.
That was very Nixon. I'm sorry. That was very
That's fine. I prefer.
But anyways, I just totally went on a rant. I'm so sorry.
It's all good. This whole episode has kind of been a catch-up.
Please let me finish so we can stop talking about this.
Good.
I'm sorry I brought up PH. I did not.
No. The only reason I went on the little rant is because a lot of people don't know this.
I didn't know that.
They are completely unaware of it. And so I feel like it's my duty a little bit to, at least every chance I get,
to say it. I mean, I'm no Jenna, you know, but even I know. I've known that.
Anyways, go on, Bonnie. Finish your thing and let's go back to this.
Okay, please let me finish this. First of all, I'm sorry I brought up PH, but also
no, I'm just busting your balls, lady.
No. But I buy all my porn from mom and pop shops. I don't even buy them from like the big boys. So the big boys, that sounded gross. I buy them from, I think it was like Adam and Eve.
I don't know. I like the big boys, Bonnie.
Vibrations in San Francisco. I bought all my porn from Good Vibrations because they're also gay friendly. They're also sexual gender fluidity friendly.
Oh, I love that.
But also, it's run by a bunch of lesbians, so of course I'm going to get stuff from them. But here's the thing: I try to purchase things not from the major places, the major outlets. I want to make sure that I'm supporting mom and pop businesses or smaller businesses because it is hard right now. No pun intended. To run an adult film company or run, not film, but like an adult film store or a sex toy store or whatever, in this world where you can get everything on Amazon. You can get sex toys on Amazon. You can get porn on Amazon. But I prefer to try to do, Bezos doesn't need my porn money. He doesn't need my masturbation account. I want to give that to somebody else that like needs to survive. He can have like the cheap stuff. I'll buy golf cheap stuff from him, but I'm not buying any of those. So I was just like, so I wanted to say that first of all. Second of all, thank you for your explanation because I didn't know anything about that.
A lot of people don't know that. Please do listen to the Butterfly Effect. It's it really details how it changed the industry completely. Like,
and what is your TED Talk? Your TED Talk, I think, is at the top of your Twitter account still, isn't it? Or no?
I think I might have taken it down and put up like all the links to my pages because of the fakes are just out of control.
Okay. Well, your TED Talk is amazing too. So please find Jenna's TED Talk because it's great. And but also I feel like I'm glad you said something because I need to know this stuff. I think most of our listeners may not have known that about Pornhub. So it's good to get some.
Well, and that's why anytime anyone brings it up and I have an opportunity to say it, I will say it, and I will applaud them for their advances as far as trying to make things a little bit better. But, until the day that they give me reparations for all the millions and millions and millions of views on my stolen videos and they give me money for it, I'll never forgive them. Literally never forgive them because so many of my scenes would have 20 million views. And if I just got $1 for each one of those views, I would be so freaking rich. But piracy literally killed my industry. Now we have my former industry, but now we have, other ways for, the performers and stuff to make money through OnlyFans and stuff, which are great, great.
Okay,
product.
good. So OnlyFans is still a good place to go.
It is because most of the money goes to the performers and they're in control of their own stuff. So like that's a good way to actually support, you know, the performer that you like, you know, like to directly, because you know they don't get any money from that other style, the pirated content. So if you watch, basically if you watch a scene for free, it's probably stolen.
It's probably, actors strike. Did the actors strike affect the porn industry?
I have no idea. I honestly don't know.
They're not part of the guild, the Actors Guild?
No, they're not, are they? No.
There's no, yeah.
No, there's no porn film guild.
There's like
not like that.
There's like it's like AP, like Adult Performers Guild thing that's like started after I retired, but I don't know how successful, or I don't know I don't know the extent of their workings or exactly what they do. But I want to get back to this movie because I feel really bad for our viewers right now, because they're like, now we're getting preached to about our porn habits, people. Like, this is not what we came here for.
We're all very sex positive, so I don't want to shame anybody. So I kind of feel
and there's nothing wrong with watching adult movies. It's great. Like, have fun. Just know that, you know, somebody paid a lot of money to make that. So like, you know. As far as the movie though, I do want to touch on the fact that I loved the part where she's at the birthday party, right? The kid's birthday party. And of course, as somebody who does therapy now, of course, there's somebody at the party who comes up and is like, oh, you're the therapist? Oh my God, like I have stuff to tell you. And I cannot tell you. I am not even a licensed therapist yet. I consider myself a practitioner and a counselor, but I'm not technically a therapist yet, you know? But I mean, I'm kind of. But anyways, the specifics don't matter. But like, I cannot tell you that since I have started the psychology journey, since the beginning of it, I on the daily, I get people who are like, oh my God, can you be my therapist? Oh my God, I have something to ask you. Oh my God, can I get your advice? And especially online now, I get so many fans and so many like people online who DM me who are like, I have this mental health problem. Can you help me? And I'm like, no. Like, please go on Psychology Today. Please find yourself a therapist in your area who can help you. Like, I can't just like give you it like therapy.
Okay, you're very professional, because I would have just been, okay, my Venmo account number is.
Can't do it. I can't do it unless I'm licensed.
You want to do it legal. Yeah, I get it.
But I'm following the rules. This is too important to me. You know, it's too important to me to mess it up.
Isn't it also kind of like people when you go to let's say you go to a dinner party, right? And I'm a horrible person when I find out there's a FBI agent in the room or a mortician in the room or anyone dealing with dead bodies, anyone dealing with, you know what I mean? Like that forensic stuff.
It goes down to like a basic level. It's like when you go somewhere and someone goes, oh, you've got tattoos. Okay, now, you know, you're like, shit. Here it comes. I'm going to be stuck in here an hour listening to someone tell me.
It's the same thing as when people find out that I'm a former adult film star. They're just like, oh. Have you met have you met Jenna? Do you know Ron Jeremy? Have you worked with this person? Or they think that like they'll bring in performers. I have no idea who they are. And they think that like I should know them.
Yeah. So in the Midwest, 100%. we call that the rainbow question. So if you say you're gay and you're in a very conservative, like, I don't know, like with me, if people find out I'm bisexual or gay, they're like, oh, do you know my cousin so-and-so? Like if you're from a small town, they're like, oh, you know all the gay people. So it's just like,
I've had people say, oh, do you know such and such? Because I'm from Australia and they're from Australia. No, dude. I don't know your friend. I live in a whole country. I don't know your friend.
But also, I'm not going to lie.
We went on a tangent again, guys. We went on a tangent again.
We did. I know we're bad tonight. We're real bad.
No, it's a legit tangent. It's not a tangent because it happened in the movie.
I think we need to let Renee talk for a little bit about this movie.
Hey, Renee, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry, guys. Yeah, we've been a wily group of ladies this evening. Maybe it's because the end of the year is approaching, you know. And
I'm in finals, so I got final brain right now.
I mean, we're all a little hyped up, I guess. But yeah, I mean, with this film, like I said, it was something where I didn't really, you know, I wasn't sure how it was going to pan out. And I think we've talked about it before on this show, how much we love going into a movie that isn't, you know, the kind of A to B, you know, basic kind of horror equation that we normally get, and that's definitely not a part of this film. Like, the sound, and the, there's the lack of the sound, like notifications and like, little messages that let you know something's going to happen, which anytime those are missing, I'm really excited, because I know the film's going to take me in all different kinds of ways. And then, as well as, like Jenna mentioned earlier, the abrupt, like, stop and starting, it all adds to the whole aura that and unsettling, like, kind of rattling feeling that you have, which almost is like an underlying anxiety. And it's that level, like, that you're kind of like, something is not right, something's quite, why am I feeling a little bit uneasy about this? And that's throughout the entire film. And then again, that kind of symmetry between, like, looking at, like, psychological horror, and then looking at supernatural horror and holla and and like, yeah, like joining them and having that overarching thing with them. And that all those, and then add in all the cool little tidbits to do with the psychology. And then as someone who's always been told, and I guess both these ladies would agree, women grow up their entire life being told to smile, because it just makes other people feel better. If like, why? Anyway, this film kind of taps into that creepiness as well, like that whole, like, faking it just to appease other people. Yeah, like, make other people feel better about stuff that's absolutely nothing to do with you. It's all about the other person and their projections. And I think that's something that, like, people deal with every day, whether regardless of whether there's trauma involved or mental health issues. We all deal with that on a daily basis. It's like something happens, or you've had a shit day, you've had a shit week, things are going on, and everyone tries to put on that brave face and, like,
smile through the pain. Yeah.
And it's that terrible, like, thing that keeps repeating itself, because people keep telling other people, like, you don't need to tell people this, you don't need to show that, you don't need to, and this film really touches on that, and it, sort of brings that stuff to light. Again, that's a reason why I just love horror so much, is because it's a platform where you're so free to delve into topics and look at all different angles of things. And there's never a strict kind of guideline. There's never this, it's just such an open forum, unlike more mainstream film and stuff, where they have more of an agenda. Horror generally doesn't have an agenda. It's there because it's trying to explore things that aren't as easy to explore without that platform. And that's what I do love that about this film, that it does take on a real world issue and delves darkly into it, but also has a really great horror kind of platform, and just really brings in the horror side of things really well. And it just made it super enjoyable. And, like, I'm sure Jenna would say the same, like, being interested in psychology makes it even more interesting to watch. The
psychological ones are always my favorite. Any movie that has psychological components, whether it's like a thriller or a comedy or anything like that, I just love it, because I just think that the human brain is fascinating. I think human beings are fascinating.
Yeah, and they are. And I think this movie, again, like, illustrates that. It shows how complicated and the human mind is, and how memories and trauma and communication and emotions and all of these things, how they work together, and how all these little things that kind of play on each people, and how that's different for everybody else.
And it's also brilliantly acted. Like, her representation of a mental breakdown was just, like, really well acted.
Yeah, and I've never seen this.
Very well done.
I've never seen this actress before, but this is the only film I think I've ever seen her in that I'm aware of. And I was like, wow, like, she's great. I don't know her.
And I have to say, like, I felt very, like, not triggered, but I felt very connected to her character, and the fact that she is a psychologist. She is a more petite brunette woman, like, I dress very similarly to her when I'm at my work as well. I have my hair pulled back and I've got a button down, and, like, so, like, I was kind of like, oh, like, this is, because as a therapist, this is terrifying. Like, I mean, frankly, technically I'm not a therapist, yes, but I'm still working with people in mental health.
You will be soon.
I mean, it's it's confronting because you're looking at things that that are very real and that
could
very
absolutely happen.
Yeah.
Like, ooh.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said earlier, this movie, I identify with the patient because I'm new to therapy. But I grew
No
up
way! Oh my god, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. The Rose is played by Kevin Bacon's daughter, and I am Kevin Bacon's biggest fan.
I'm so sorry. I thought you were saying no way to her doing therapy for the first time.
I know. I was like, wait a minute.
I was like,
I
oh
just
my
looked
god,
at it.
you're being such a
no.
sarcastic bitch.
No, I would never do that. I'm so pro therapy, guys.
There was a weird.
No, I just out of the corner of my
I
eye.
was just like, wait, what? What did I do?
I was about to say, like Puma X and John Peters. Don't be throwing Kevin Bacon in the comments like that, because I will. Like, my eyes darted immediately, and I was like, Kevin Bacon.
Not John. You made me think that Renee didn't support my therapy.
No. I 100. Yeah, I 100%.
No, I know. It was just like a funny. It was just a funny moment. But I
darted. I saw Kevin Bacon, and I was just like, amazing. That's his daughter. Wow.
I will be telling my therapist about this moment, and she will out of it.
It's okay. I just realized yesterday that what is his name? Jack Quaid is the son of Meg Ryan and Dennis Quaid. Yeah, I had no idea, and now I've seen it, and I can't unsee it. So
Yeah, and that's interesting. A lot of these actor kids, especially Ethan Hawke and Uma's daughter, who's in Stranger Things, but also in a lot of horror, like the Fear Street remake and a bunch of horror. Yeah. It's interesting to see this new batch of like horror actresses and actors and non-gender actors that are
possibly a little bit of nepo babies.
It's a little nepo, but it's also talented. They are talented.
They're talented. I mean, how could you not be talented with Meg Ryan as your mother?
But I'm also, like Dakota.
Having like two actors as your parents is definitely like a good recipe.
Carrie Fisher is probably the original nepo baby because
nepo baby, yeah.
They're like, they're royalty in theater and so it's like, I mean, that's Hollywood, right? Like, there's so many of these like generational legendary things, but the cast was great. I'm getting back to it. I'm bringing us back. I can do it too.
I'm just like, I'm sorry for the tangent. Kevin Bacon.
Bring us back.
Okay, so what is your obsession with Kevin Bacon?
I've been obsessed with Kevin Bacon since I was a child.
Really?
Yes. Footloose was the beginning.
Really?
Yes. There's something
I don't.
It's not necessarily.
I don't concur, so I'm.
No, it's not necessarily a romantic interest, but like it's just I have always loved the dude. I would always watch his movies when I was growing up. The first movie I watched was Footloose. I used to rent Footloose out for weeks, and then we'd take. This was when it was old school VHS, and then I would
rewind.
Yes, and I would go back. I would go back to the video store to return it, and then my dad would say she wants to borrow it again, so I would literally just borrow it as I took it back, and then
buy it, Renee. Just buy it.
Well, back
John has a good question. By the way, John has a good question and comments for you, Renee.
Oh, there
so
is.
was Friday the 13th too tragic to you, Renee, with his death?
Oh no, I love it. I love Friday the 13th. So I love Friday the 13th. I love Tremors, and I love Footloose. Like they are probably my top three. Oh, and Flatliners as well. Tremors. They're like my top like Kevin Bacon.
Tremors was a good gateway movie to get my dad to admit horror could be fun because it's a Western. I consider Tremors a Western. But it's so.
I think my dad kind of got me into Kevin Bacon as well. I don't know.
Well, no, my dad doesn't do anything but Western. So and police detective movies. So like I got him into. I had him watch Tremors. Even though it was ridiculous, but it was still like very funny in a Blazing Saddles kind of way because it was like. Yeah. It's also like it's a hilarious movie. It's a hilarious horror film.
It's a great film. It's hilarious.
Great. There's like 10 Tremor movies. And a theory.
I've never seen any of them, so I don't know. I think the only movie that you mentioned that I've seen is Flatliners. So
yeah.
That's a good one.
But yeah, like I know it. Yeah,
That's a lot of work now. Kevin Bacon.
But Kevin Bacon's character in Footloose, he was, you know, we related. I related, you know, we were the bad kids that went to the thing, and his name was Ren, and my nickname was Ren. You know,
this was deep.
It was just so deep. We had like a bond, you know. Anyway.
So, speaking of deep stuff in this movie, Smile, something that I caught. I don't know if y'all caught this.
Who's on a tangent
This podcast is called Smile while we talk about other things.
Smile. No, we've talked about it too, but I do want to bring it back for a second because I wonder if you guys caught when she was showering and it had the shot of her back and she had a tattoo of a tree. And the tree was bending, and I love that. Wait, what?
Was it the giving tree or just a tree?
No, it was a tree that was like bending in the wind, and I love it because as a mental health care professional, it's that tattoo is representative of the motto of bend but don't break.
Oh yeah,
I caught that on her shoulder, and I was like, oh, like bend.
Yeah, I wondered what the thing was with that, because they zoomed right in on it.
Did,
I feel like this is a Rorschach test moment, because you thought that, and I thought Giving Tree, because Giving Tree. Well, she didn't have a good mom, and the Giving Tree is a representation of a mom that gives everything to this child and still does not. You know, it's not a good ending for the tree. So for me, I saw that and go, oh, this is a mom reference to the fact of the Giving Tree, that she didn't have that giving, nurturing mom because of all this background. And also, of course, I'm going to identify with that level. I didn't even think of like kind of the motto and the Zen thing about, you know, be the bamboo, don't break, go with it, you know, but it's also a psychological motto. So I think it's interesting that, and also this is great with good horror films. Everyone takes something different from just that one scene. It doesn't get explained. It's not, they don't talk about the tattoo at all in the movie, I don't think, do they?
Nope. They don't mention it whatsoever. It's just a shot of it. And I was just like, wow, that's actually a really powerful shot with like a really like strong message of, you know, like everyone experiences hardships and everyone has, you know, difficult times. And some people will have emotional breakdowns in their life, you know, but that doesn't mean that you're not resilient like the tree. You know, it doesn't mean that you're broken. It just means that you've been bent a little bit, you know, but you'll snap back. And I just love that.
That's such a good positive message for this movie.
Yeah, I just love that. There's such an underlying theme of resilience throughout this whole thing, you know? Think about the trauma she experienced as a child, like having to have like her mother dying in front of her and telling her to save her, but she's like so scared of her mother and so like probably also sick of the situation of her growing up, and she doesn't know what to do. That's such a heavy burden for a 10-year-old.
And then she turns her life around by becoming, you know,
a mental health care professional and helping people who are struggling just like her mother.
Yeah, both her and her sister are survivors, but John brings up you're like the other member of this podcast. He brings up a good point with the movie ends with the abandoned family home, which you can't not think of that as a metaphor as well. But that also leads me to my question, and maybe this is the final question of the evening, but what do you guys think the sequel's going to be about? Because there's a sequel.
I know. I think the curse is going to continue somehow.
Yeah, well, isn't it like, to me, what the ending, you know, like, is that obviously she's jumped into that. The next person to jump into is going to be Kyle Gallner's character, is what it seemed to be inferring. So, I mean, who knows, like, where it's going to go, whether it's going to be a new one or whether it's going to continue like with those characters.
Do we know it's a sequel or do we know it's a prequel? Because it would be fun to find out the history.
I'm not sure if I think it's being coded as a sequel.
Okay. Because I'm also very interested in the history of this entity. So if there's
and the like history of this kind of curse type thing, like is this
I think
is this some sort of ancient like cultural like thing, or because they talked about it happening in Brazil before, right? So, like, is it something that happened from some, you know, crazy ruin that it escaped or something because, you know, humans decided to destroy?
Well, I think
I don't know, I'm just speculating, but we don't know.
Well, there might be an answer, a small answer, not a really clear one, but there might be a small answer in the short film about Laura.
I know, I need to watch that because I didn't know that.
Film, and who is Laura that you keep talking about?
That's the first girl who cuts her face.
Okay, and
So
she's
there's
the one that
another
was in the movie that you were talking
Correct.
about
So
before.
it's called Laura Doesn't Sleep, and so it's about her, and she has all these visions and nightmares and all this stuff
Oh.
going on that leads
Oh.
her. So that may have some
I
nuggets.
was
I'm
like,
not
how
sure
do
if
you
it
know
does.
her name? Like, I don't there's her name more.
I didn't know there was her story in another movie before this one.
Yeah, so that it's a short film. It came out in 2020. So 2 years
Our
before
other host,
this.
John, says it's on YouTube.
There you go. Thank you, John. Yeah, so that's where Smile was born from. It's an adaptation of that short film. So I don't know how much I haven't watched it. But it
Yeah,
has
I gotta watch it now.
Yeah, it's got Caitlin Stacey in it as well, so it's the same actress. And so that was how he saw Laura's character initially, and then it kind of adapted into the full length. So I don't know how much of it would have how relevant or not relevant, or how it kind of. I'm sure it has some nuggets. I'm sure, but yeah, it would be interesting to see like what direction they will take the second one. And I'm interested to see what they're going to do with their viral marketing, because I'm sure that they're going to do something along those lines again. But yeah, I mean, I really like this ending. I love the
ending. I love ending.
I loved when, you know, the entity like comes out and jumps in. I'm feeling like it was giving me a kind of bit of Men vibes, you know, the jump like
it did,
I love that movie so much.
Yeah. That was such a brilliant movie. And
it's so good, so original. Like,
I know, for those of you that are just now listening, or you stayed with us this long, we have another episode all about the horror film movie Men. I highly recommend you also watch. It's very insightful discussion, and not as many tangents as tonight, because I'm sorry.
It's a little tangential, but it's okay. It's okay. I also just was looking at my notes, and there's a couple of other like kind of messages, things that I just wanted to mention. I also love that the Kumar director guy at one point says to her, like, we can't help these patients unless we have our own mental health in check, you know, and that's something that like is really important for mental health care practitioners, is always to make sure that you put your own oxygen mask on first, and make sure that you're, you know, mentally stable to be able to help people who are mentally struggling. And then I also wrote down like, where is it? I also wrote down there's kind of like this message of like, you need to face your past trauma as soon as possible, because otherwise it will eat at you and it will find ways to come out into your life and harm you.
Yeah, and I feel like, I feel like no, I was just gonna say, I feel like that's a really good point. Like the entity feeds off of, you know, people's almost like, you know, obviously their trauma, but it feeds off of their insanity, and it feeds into their delusions, and it feeds into all their fears, and it's almost eating it. It's
like a vampiric entity almost.
Yeah, 100%. And someone's mentioned here like about in the comments about, you know, what are our thoughts on the curse in regards to, you know, skipping the curse by, you know,
unaliving someone.
Yeah. And I think
I'm frozen again. Damn it.
Oh no.
It always happens about this time.
Yeah, it does. I feel like, with that part, I mean, I think that was an interesting twist, but like also I think it's a comment on society. I feel like that there's, you know, there are people out there who will do whatever it takes to save themselves and push someone else under.
100%. I love that. Yeah.
That's what I kind of felt about that, you know, like it didn't happen every time, but it happened once. And I think that's the point that they're illustrating. There's always going to be that outlier who doesn't care about everybody else, who doesn't care about the whole.
And just wants to save himself.
Yeah. And that's inherently, sadly, it's inherently human as well. That
I mean, I thought, you know, when she was going to the house, you know, I thought for sure she was just going to go there and unalive herself there. You know, and that alone, because then she thought that was going to be the end of it right there. Oh God, I'm gone.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, my whole screen just went completely black and I can't see anything.
Oh, wait, there you are.
You're back.
I'm back. I don't even remember what I was saying now because that was so weird.
No, it's about the unaliving and I thought about this too. Like for me, if I had to be forced to kill someone to stay alive, I would try to find the Ted Bundy. You know what I mean? Like I'd get a little vigilante.
Yeah, I mean that's one approach you could take, but I mean I wouldn't want to hurt anybody else. I would want it to end with me, you know, and that's like I would be self-sacrificing, I think. I would be like, no, like this is a shitty situation, but like I can't let this, and I won't take that on my soul to like do this to someone else or give it to someone else. Like, no, that's not the kind of person I am. So like that's where I thought she was going, but it was all, but then it kind of turned out that she was going there to like face her like trauma and to face her inner demons and to face this entity. And then it became,
and I love the little, like, I love that they played with us and were like, you know, yeah, she's gonna beat it, and then it's like, haha, no, it was just a hallucination. She just hasn't beaten shit.
That was a little mean to those of us.
I love a little bit of mean. Real life is mean, you know.
Thank you, Renee. It is.
I know. I like it because sometimes I like, you know, sometimes if I'm in the zone and I want to watch some fluffy fluff, I'll watch it.
No. I'm not saying I wanted fluffy fluff. Let me just be clear
right now. No. But what I mean is, like, you know, what I'm saying is, I guess, like, I like things to be a little chaotic.
Me too, because it's more representative of the way life actually is.
I agree.
Yeah, and the scene, I love the shot. I love the shot where she turned, once, you know, the entities jumped inside, and then she turns around and does that beautiful like thing with the matches. It was just a great shot.
Right. I'm not saying that I wanted a happy ending. What I'm saying is
I didn't think you were.
No. Because
we're getting a battle over here.
I want a happy ending, but that it's kind of like that trope in horror films where you're like, oh, they found the exit and they're out, and they open the door and it's just a loop. They're never gonna leave, kind of thing. And that is a trope, and that is a very common trope. I know I mentioned this other movie a lot, It Follows, which is great. That ending also was like, oh, finally they're free, and then it's like, no, because there's this guy behind it. Like, you don't know. Because it's
That's another movie that I thought was overhyped too. I liked it, but I didn't think it was like super amazing like everyone else did. I don't know.
I wouldn't say it's super amazing. I would say it's in my top 100, but it's not my top 50 or 25 horror films. And also it's a different kind of filmmaking, because as we all know, there's different genres, different ways of indie filmmaking with horror stories. I liked it because I like the idea of an STD being the villain in a way where it's not a zombie thing. You know what I mean? Like, it's not oh my God, it's not like, I mean, that's a whole other genre of like STIs or STDs that now turn you into a zombie. This was different. This was like a curse, but also you're not sure how it works. But also felt like a creepypasta urban legend situation where it's like, it also felt like a great way people had sex with you.
I started watching Viral the other day, by the way, y'all. Okay, I watched like 20 or 30 minutes of it, and I was like, oh man, this is like, I was like, I'm not in the right frame of mind to watch this. I need to finish this later, because it's such a creepy premise.
It is. It is. Before we end, I do want to say I'm a big fan of seasonal Christmas horror films, and I did really like the dark comedy It's a Wonderful Night, and it's on Shudder. It just came on last night, and it's a really fun horror film. Justin Long, who's suddenly now the go-to guy to play a villain in every horror thing, which I love. But I loved him in Dragon.
I used to know him personally. Is he nice? He was very nice. I went to his birthday party actually many, many years ago. I met him randomly in Vegas. We happened to be sitting at a table next to each other, and we ended up talking and having drinks.
Yeah, so
he's very nice.
He's in It's a Wonderful Night. Love a pun name, but he's in that. But also, he's in the new L. Stein Goosebumps movies.
Yes, I watched it. Yeah,
he's in Barbarian. He plays a great.
I know he's starting to get like a whole career.
He's getting his own like little horror vibes. Because he was just getting lots of indie prior, but now he's a horror darling.
Yeah, so if you like, but also a bunch of seasonal horror films just ended up on Netflix and Amazon Prime and Tubi. So if you have an inkling to watch that, and also the Joe Bob Briggs Christmas special is December 15th, which I am definitely going to be watching on Shudder. But I love a good seasonal.
You're talking to deaf ears. I'm not a Christmas fan of hers.
I don't like Christmas, but I like Christmas horror films.
I'm not much of a holiday kind of person unless it's like Halloween.
I also think Killing was fun. The Eli Roth Thanksgiving, which we know started off as a trailer for In Between Death Proof and the other.
I haven't seen it.
Oh, it's so good.
Oh, I totally forgot that because I saw that at the theater. I saw the Grindhouse 2 at the theater or whatever.
Yeah, he did the big trailer for
Yeah.
Death Proof is my favorite Quentin Tarantino.
I love
So
that.
good. So
I
good.
love because it's the most feminist one, of course. So it's the one that I love the most because it's
and there's
got
still
the badass
bare feet.
women in it.
And there's still bare feet because Tarantino has foot fetish. But I will.
Oh, I know. Years ago, I had a friend who was like, when I was active in the industry, and he was like, "You have to send Quentin Tarantino pictures of your feet to get in one of his movies." And I was like, "I'm not going to be this creeper who's just sending this."
Oh, I did it. He came to Lucasfilm. He came to Lucasfilm when I was working there. We used to have this series where every month we would bring in a director to talk about their films in depth, and it was really fun. It was an employees only thing. And I was big into Tarantino at the time. I'm like, I'm going to wear some really sexy open toe shoes. I'm going to get a pedicure, and I'm going to sit in the front row and see if he notices my feet. And yep, he stared. I mean, I feel creeper talking about this. Now I feel like a total creeper, and I was kind of like grooming
Now we're
him.
just name dropping here.
I didn't go out with him. I just flashed my feet at him during his presentation.
Let's bring it back. Let's bring it back because I have a paper to write in the next 2 hours. It's due at midnight. So.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't bring up Tarantino and feet. This tangent's your fault, Jenna.
I know. You're right. You're right.
There's a lot of fire in the air tonight.
There's a tangent. Kevin Bacon.
Whoa!
Can I just say I love both of you so much?
I love you guys too.
Oh my god!
I'm glad we did this. Thank you all for joining us and on this crazy tangent-filled smile review.
Do we have any last thoughts, Renee? Do you have any last thoughts about this?
Okay, last thoughts on this one. As I said, loved that I loved all the like gearing up to this, having not known about it, just like dropping all this creepy stuff. Loved it. I wasn't expecting much and was very pleasantly surprised. And I love it when that happens because I watch a lot of horror films. And so, most of the time I can pick what's happening from the first like 5 minutes. So when something isn't going textbook, I love that. And yeah, I just, I love that you can take one image like the creepy smile and you can turn that into a film and you can make that as scary and poignant as you want, just that one image. And even the little subtleties like Jenna mentioned earlier, the sheet with the blood, like all those like little things, and then the little subtle shots of the creepy guy in the hospital doing his dream.
The face of the professor when they show what the professor did to his face with the sledgehammer was like, whoa.
Yeah. And even when Rose looks up at the wall where it has the levels of pain and it has the big smile and it says next to it, no pain. And that's a really clever little nugget. And so, yeah, for me, this film was a pleasant surprise, super fun. I love the amalgamation of psychological trauma and psychological horror mixed with supernatural horror. I think everyone should give it a watch. I mean, I think it was a little underhyped, and it should have got a little more hype than it got in the end. So yeah, that's probably, I'll leave you with that. I think I got a lot out, especially Kevin Bacon.
Here's the thing. Here's my final thought. I'm glad I'm in therapy, but also I'm glad I'm not cursed, as far as I know. But also I'm glad that we had a good year this year of really watching some great creativity, great horror films, but also getting to talk to so many great female creators like the Addams Family and Jennifer Reeder. And, we were blessed with a chance with this podcast we do for fun, just because we love each other and we love horror and we love talking about horror. I'm just glad, I'm very thankful for you two. I'm very thankful for our viewers who put up with us and watch us and share our videos. But also, it's inspired me to write more horror as a screenwriter, as a games writer, as a book and comics person. And now I'm like realizing the three of us need to do a project together. So, I mean,
100%. Just let me graduate first, okay? Then I'll have all the time. But right now,
I didn't want to get too gushy in my final thoughts, but I did want to say I love you guys, and you ladies are like, you're my chosen family. And I think this is also something in horror films and horror fandom. I think horror fans tend to be a little bit, a lot of us have trauma that we're dealing with or whatever, and horror is a good cathartic
medium
space.
for that.
And so I just wanted to say thank you for keeping me sane this year as much as I can be. And also thank you for opening my eyes to different movies I may not have ever watched if I didn't have this show to encourage me to watch other types of horror films and other types of filmmaking. But I learned a lot from you ladies. You're smart and you're creative and you're talented. So I feel like even though I'm not technically in college, I feel like I've graduated this year of learning from you guys. So thank you for putting a lot of yourself into this show, but also making this a safe space to talk about a lot of important, deep topics that, you know, maybe a lot of people don't think about when they watch horror, but we do. So thanks.
We do. I don't know that I have any last thoughts except for, just thanks for watching, everyone. And I really wish my screen wouldn't freeze every time we do a damn show recently. I might have to like get closer to my router or something. I don't know what's happening. But yeah, I think
you're too sexy for the camera. It can't take it, Jenna.
Can't handle it. Overloads. Choo choo.
You ain't seen sexy.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess, you know, I want to say, like, you know, this has been a really tough year, and this show and meeting up with the girls and has been a really great grounding and just really rewarding experience. You know, and it's just so amazing to me that we can have 3 women from very different like walks of life, different backgrounds, with our own experiences. We can come together in such a great space. You know, all of the people who come and watch us, you all come from, you know, different backgrounds. You all come from different areas. Some of you are fans of Jenna, some of you are Bonnie, some come for me, whatever it may be. But you've all opened us with the biggest, most welcome arms. And every time we have a show, I see you all here again. And for me, that's a testament to a great show, that we're able to keep people here who are here for all of us, and not, you know, and came here maybe for just one of us at the beginning, and now you come and join this crazy little coven journey every month. And you know, it's just really rewarding. And the fact that we're able to be ourselves and talk about fun stuff and everything, it's just so cool. And I'm looking forward to next year and what we're going to bring. We are definitely, I've been speaking with Adam's family. We definitely will be having Toby Poser on. I think possibly it'll be the first episode of 2024. And we'll be doing a special episode that won't be a review, but rather an interview by Toby of the 3 of us. So I think that will be really fun, and everyone can, you know, can come and
I'm not promising anything. However, Zelda Williams and I do follow each other on Twitter, and I am trying to get her on for Lisa Frankenstein, because I think that would be a really fun
that'd be cool.
Yeah.
That
so, and also I try to, like, when I meet people at parties or premieres or what mixers, whatever, I'm like, okay, who are the horror film fans, and are they writing anything? And I go right to them. So, like, I feel like we can have some pretty fun guests on here. But also, now that I know about the Kevin Bacon thing, I am definitely going to suggest a Kevin Bacon horror film, because he's done a ton recently.
Yes.
So now I know. I mean, not to, you know, get into the, you know, nuances of your fascination with the bacon, but I want to do a movie episode about one of his horror films, because they're really fun, and he's done a lot. He's done a lot of them. So
he has, I mean, I like the one where he's like, where the wife is like, "Are you digging?" and he's digging the hole. That's one of my favorite. I forget what it's called now, but you know, and he's like the supernatural and true crime.
Amanda Siegfried one? Is it the one where his wife is Amanda Siegfried?
I think so. Yeah. No, not that one. No, not that one.
Oh.
It's where he has the hypnosis or whatever, and then he starts.
Oh yeah, I know that one. And there's also a creepy conversion therapy one that's great. Them, I think.
There's a lot of therapy back there.
Yeah, so we'll figure it out. But yeah, I do want to say that we have a great year coming up. I'm excited for 2024 for this show, because I think we're going to do great stuff. But this year was pretty awesome too.
Sure, that goes
for so many other things. And I don't know if Maxine comes out the next installment in the X.
Yes.
But is that this next year it comes out? Okay,
I think so. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to that. We definitely need to get on that one as well. We've been big fans of Mia Goth and what she's been doing, so it'll be great.
Anything she does.
So I just looked at my notes, and I think I know what my last words will be. My final thoughts. I loved at the end when the entity says, "The mind is so inviting," and I just love that, because I don't know, it just gives me this image of like the mind is like this fertile ground for trauma and for these mental occurrences and all this stuff. And then I wrote down like, you can't escape your own mind. Nope. Creepy.
Yeah. You could try, but it doesn't go
anywhere. So people, work on your mind, work on your mental health, deal with that trauma.
Yeah. Or you might end up with a smile.
Yes, and so
we just look really. we can't do it. I don't know. They must have.
I know. I just look really like weird. Like
I can't. I'm too squinty when I. Yeah, I can't.
Yeah, when I'm really happy, I lose my eyes. I'm just.
There you go. No, it's too weird. It's too goth. It's too Gotham. It's too Joker for me. I can't.
Jenna.
Jenna's still sexy though.
Is there anything you ladies wanna plug while we're still
Jenna, do you have something you want to promote?
Yeah, I am doing a live stream for my subscribers on my Spicy site. The link is at my Linktree bio right there at the bottom of my little screen thingy. I'm doing that on the 23rd. My Spicy site is always there. I've got tons of new pictures and stuff on there. I'm still working on my creative project. But my film, my photography book will both be out for sure this next year. I'm very excited. I'll be working on them over winter break. So keep an eye out for that. And you can always keep up to date with me 24 hours a day at Instagram.com/Jenna Haze, Twitter.com/Jenna Haze, Facebook.com/The Real Jenna Haze. And I have merchandise, autographs, posters, all that stuff. You can even buy some of the clothes that I wore in like your favorite scene of me. So go to like shopjennahaze.com and get yourself something special for the holidays. That's my little sales spiel today. So, and if you're feeling lonely over the holidays and you just want someone to like keep you company or keep you warm, there's always my fleshlights.
The perfect.
I thought that was going somewhere else, and I'm like, wait, can you just come over? Like, what are you?
Yes, Bonnie, you can come over.
So my movie, I don't know if I'll ever say this sentence again. The movie that I'm in is a documentary about the Star Wars Holiday Special, the infamous TV show that aired only once, but in Australia, I found out it aired out 6 times in Australia. So sorry, and also I'm jealous. It's called A Disturbance in the Force, and it comes out officially December 5th. And I also believe you can buy it on video on demand, streaming, all of that. It's fun. It's a fun little documentary. I'm in it with Seth Green and Weird Al and Patton Oswalt and all these, comedians talking about the Star Wars Holiday Special, but it also has people that were in it. And then there's a lot of archival stuff from George Lucas, and it's a really fun movie. So that's coming out that I'm in. And I do a podcast book club show with Felicia Day called Felicitations. So I think we have our last one, coming up in a couple weeks. And you can find me on social. My Linktree is that link right there, has everything. You can also just search it by my name and you'll find me. But that's kind of what I'm working on. I'm also like finishing up on a lot of projects to pay rent. So a lot of game writing. So a lot of my games that I'm doing for other companies, that'll come out next year. But the game that I created for Hunt a Killer, it was a whole thing that I wanted to do for my uncle, who's a rodeo guy that passed away in a rodeo-related accident. I wanted to pay tribute to him and my family, who are a lot of rodeo people. And it's called R.I.P. at the Rodeo. And it's a murder mystery about a rodeo clown that gets murdered. And you have to figure out who did it. So that's an immersive escape room in a box type thing from Hunt a Killer. And you can find it at Target, Walmart, online. It's everywhere. But I'm very proud of that game. I don't get any royalties. I'm just plugging. I don't even work for Hunt a Killer anymore. But I love the game.
You're just proud of your work, Bonnie, and that's solid.
It's also the only Western murder mystery immersive game out there right now. So if you like Yellowstone, you might like it. So if you like rodeo stuff.
Okay, y'all, I'm sorry. I have to do this paper before midnight, or I'm gonna get in trouble. I'm gonna get in trouble. I have to do an entire analysis for a therapeutic practice class. So I got to get it done. And I also just got the creepiest message I think I've ever gotten from a guy on Instagram. And I'm kind of like, ooh.
Oh, no.
I will share it with you ladies later. But I just wanted to say thank you to my amazing co-hosts for having me be a part of this. And happy holidays to everyone, even though I'm not a holiday person. And thank you to all of our viewers. You're amazing. We like the lady said, we do this just for fun. We don't make money off of this. We don't this isn't like a big career, like huge move or something. We do this for fun. We hope it takes off. And we really appreciate you always being here. And on that note, I'm off to do a DBT chain analysis right now. So
Love you.
Bye. I don't know how to leave the studio.